Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
Seeing how confident Aoyama Nanami was, the bank staff helped him contact people at the real estate company. Although banks and real estate companies are two completely different types of companies, they have dealt with each other quite a few times. It could even be said to be quite frequent. That's why bank staff have the real estate company's phone number. That noon, thanks to the efforts of the bank staff, Aoyama Nanami met with the real estate company representatives. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s. Not the kind of seasoned office worker, instead. He was a middle-aged man who looked honest and unassuming. It is said that Aoyama Nanami wants to become a haunted house tester. And the real estate company agreed without hesitation. Baika Town needs someone like that. Especially for female high school students like Nanami Aoyama. The value of houses that have been slept in by them will increase by a few cents. He would welcome such people as haunted house testers. Unfortunately, most of these high school students are not very brave and dare not move into a haunted house. Not to mention being a haunted house tester. Aoyama Nanami can be described as an outlier among outliers. The universities there are already scrambling to accept the offer. How could they possibly refuse, however? When the middle-aged man from the real estate company learned that Aoyama Nanami wanted the most haunted house, he was immediately taken aback. He blurted out instinctively, "You can't sleep in that house. People can really die there." This made Aoyama Nanami very curious. Is there something wrong with that house? The real estate company representative said cautiously, "That's not just any haunted house. It's a haunted house that's been haunted for ages. None of those who entered the Siki family are still alive. Everyone is dead." Upon hearing this, Luo Wei couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Siki's house. Which Siki residence? Could it be the Siki residence I've been imagining? Good heavens! Could it be that even the Juon has been stitched into this world? If it really is the Siki residence I imagined. The image of Aoyama Nanami battling Siki Kayako involuntarily flashed into Luo Wei's mind. Thinking about it carefully, it actually seems quite appealing. As for whether Aoyama Nanami can defeat Siki Kayako, Luo Wei thinks there shouldn't be too much of a problem. Aoyama Nanami is after alone of his followers. There's no way he couldn't defeat an evil spirit. Even if this evil spirit is called Kayako. No matter how powerful an evil spirit is, it can't possibly be a match for its own followers. Do you really think that the power of light it bestowed upon the Green Mountains and Seven Seas is only for massage? Exorcism works just as well, so did you go? Ro asked with a hint of anticipation. However, Aoyama Nanami shook her head and said, "No, why?" Luo Wei was very curious, and a sense of disappointment welled up inside him. Aoyama Nanami told the curious Luo Wei that the middle-aged real estate agent was afraid of killing Aoyama Nanami. So he refused to introduce the Siki house to Aoyama Nanami. Oh my god, this person is actually quite nice, in short. Because this honest middle-aged man disagreed. The scenario that Lo Wei had hoped for, the battle between Aoyama Nanami and Kayako, did not ultimately happen. Instead, the other party introduced Aoyama Nanami to another haunted house. By the way, this haunted house is located in Baika Town. After sleeping in the haunted house for a few days, Aoyama Nanami successfully received her reward. It's about 500,000 yen. Another point worth mentioning is that although a murder occurred in this haunted house, there are no evil spirits present. This surprised Aoyama Nanami somewhat. Since becoming a follower of Loei, Aoyama Nanami has seen the real world. While the evil spirits on the streets may not be countless, they are certainly everywhere. So she genuinely believed that haunted houses where murders had occurred might harbor evil spirits. It turned out that the haunted house was completely empty. There wasn't a single evil spirit, not even a shadow of one. and there were far fewer evil spirits than on the streets. It was a huge disappointment, to be honest. After receiving the 500,000 yen, Aoyama Nanami even felt that the money was a bit too hot to handle. Making money is too easy. She felt like it was all a little unreal. This is the money that Aoyama Nanami earned after becoming a follower of Lovey. Originally, this money should have been split equally with Lovey. However, considering that he still needed to open his own shop, Aoyama Nanami withheld the money, then recorded on paper. Subsequently, Aoyama Nanami used the reward money, along with the money she had saved over the years, to rent a rather cheap haunted house in Baika Town and convert it into a massage parlor. Upon hearing this, Luo Wei finally realized that this massage parlor was actually a haunted house. More important, Lithis is Baika Town, where the Grim Reaper is said to roam. When Luo Wei arrived, he didn't notice this at all. He only wanted to find Aoyama Nanami, but he didn't expect to end up in the territory of the Grim Reaper. Of course, the Grim Reaper mentioned here is not the Grim Reaper in the traditional sense. Instead, it's the Grim Reaper of the second dimension. Conan, it's worth mentioning, however, that Shinichi Kyudo is still active in major newspapers and on television, showing no signs of shrinking. This means that the story of Detective Conan has not yet begun. Therefore, Baika Town's crime rate has not yet started to spiral towards Gotham's level. Even so, the crime rate in Baika Town remains high. Otherwise, Aoyama Nanami wouldn't have been able to rent a storefront so cheaply and convert it into a massage parlor. Despite its simple appearance, the business here is quite good. This was also thanks to the strong recommendations from the bank staff and the room company staff. Both of them received massages from Aoyama Nanami during their interactions, and they were completely convinced of her massage skills. So when Aoyama Nanami opened this simple massage parlor, the two of them brought in a large number of customers for him. They were mostly my colleagues. At first, people looked down on this simple massage parlor. However, after experiencing Aoyama Nanami's massage, their attitudes completely changed, and they were full of praise for Aoyama Nanami's massage skills. On its first day of operation, Aoyama Nanami earned 400 yen. Then he kept a portion of it and gave the remaining 300 to Luo Wei after understanding the situation. Luo Wei couldn't help but say, "I have to criticize you for this, Nanami. Didn't we already agree to a 50-50 split?" "That's right, it's a 50-50 split." Before Luo Wei could finish speaking, Aoyama Nanami excitedly interrupted. "Has my lord forgotten? This is the second money I've earned since becoming your follower. The first sum of money was 500,000 yen, which I earned as a haunted house tester. According to the agreement with you, I was supposed to pay you 250,000 yen. But I didn't pay you because I needed the money to open the shop. Now that I've made money, I naturally have to make up for this debt. This kid is too honest. How could Luo Wei not know about this? After all, Aoyama Nanami had just recounted it. Even if he has a terrible memory, he can't possibly forget something he just heard. He just said that because he subconsciously wanted to ignore that point. But Aoyama Nanami was not willing to take advantage of Luo Wei. She felt she had already taken advantage of Luo Wei a great deal. And if she continued to do so, she wouldn't be able to forgive herself. So she chose to tell the truth. "I have earned a total of 900,000 yen so far. According to our original agreement, I should give 450 yen to you, however, due to the initial investment, I can only give the adults 300,000 yen. But please rest assured, sir, I will make up the remaining 150 yen for you as soon as possible." What else could Luo Wei say? He could only pat Aoyama Nanami on the shoulder and say, "Okay. I believe you, but don't overwork yourself. A balance between work and rest is the key." Aoyama Nanami nodded, indicating that she understood. Whether she listened or not, only she knows, of course. It doesn't matter if it's a little tiring. Because with the help of the power of light, even if Aoyama Nanami is forcing herself, she can't be similarly overwhelmed afterwards. Luo Wei stayed at the shop and had dinner with Aoyama Nanami. Only then did he leave the massage parlor. After learning that this was the famous Baika town, Lovey even took a special trip here. Unfortunately, he didn't encounter any murder cases. It seems that Baika town is not so chaotic that murders could happen at any moment. However, I did see Tayton High School, which is very famous in Baika town, however. Tayton High School had already let out for the day. So Lo didn't encounter Ran Murray Shinichi Kyudo. Or the others, of course. He didn't encounter any of the main or supporting characters from Detective Conan. That's not surprising at all, Baika town isn't very big. But it's not small either. Encountering characters from the story isn't an easy thing. Forget it, let's go back. After that, Lovey left Baika town and returned to his home. The day passed just like that the next day. Lo Wei then went to the Tokyo branch of the Umbrella Corporation. As soon as I arrived at the office, Medea pushed open the door with a smile and walked in saying, "Boss, there's something I must remind you of." What? According to the timelines, today should be the day the biohazard crisis breaks out in Bed City. And also the day the person in charge holds a video conference with headquarters. What are your plans? After thinking for a moment, Luo Wei performed a magic trick, transforming himself into the appearance of the head of the Tokyo branch. It's just a small illusion, not worth mentioning. Incidentally, Medea also taught him this illusion technique. It was now 9 a.m. Lo participated in a video conference with senior executives of the Umbrella Corporation, including representatives from around the world. The person who chaired this meeting was none other than Albert Wesker, whom Ro remembered. This guy was the 13th experiment subject of the Wesker Project, the project of Umbrella Corporation founder Oswell E. Spencer, and one of only 2 Weskers to survive. The other one is Alex Wesker, so behind him was Oswell E. Spencer, the founder of the company. In the eyes of outsiders, was Oswell's spokesperson, which is why he was able to host this meeting. At the start of the meeting, Wesker turned his attention to Ro. "How is Project Blacklight progressing?" Luo Wei calmly said, "I've encountered a little trouble." Wesker frowned. What he hated most was when plans didn't go as smoothly as agreed. But Wesker did not immediately refute, instead deciding to give the other party a chance to explain. "What happened?" "Someone discovered Project Blacklight and secretly thwarted its progress." "You mean there's a mole within your ranks at this moment?" Wesker's face was as gloomy as the sky before a storm. Terrifyingly so, it wasn't an inside job. But someone used futuristic vision to see the future. Luo Wei calmly said, although it sounds unbelievable. "It is indeed true," future vision. Wesker's eyes flickered, unsure whether to believe the other man's words. And he looked at Ro with a gloomy and sharp gaze. Lo Wei met his gaze calmly after a long pause. Wesker softened his sharp gaze and slowly asked, "Do you need help?" "Not at the moment," Ro said. "I'm investigating in secret and will soon clear out all the obstacles to ensure the plan's implementation. But it will take time." "How long will it take?" "I need an exact time, about a month." Ro casually made up a time frame, believing that a month would be enough for Sazex and Seraph to investigate whether the demon the Umbrella leadership had sided with was indeed Lezivim. Without hesitation, Wesker said, "A month is too long. I hope you can completely resolve this problem within half a month." "Half a month is too short, I might need some help." Luo Wei said, feigning a troubled expression. Wesker said, "Okay. I'll send a special team to help you with all the difficulties. They'll be reporting to you tomorrow, so don't let them down." "Don't worry." Luo Wei patted his chest and assured him that he would definitely not let him down. Once that special squad arrives, Ro will personally brainwash them and turn them into his subordinates. At that time, Thea will be the sharpest sword aimed at Wesker. Just thinking about this scene made Luo Wei laugh involuntarily. At that time, he will definitely see for himself just how ugly Wesker's face really is. Thinking about this, Luo Wei actually looked forward to the arrival of this special team sooner. He was eager to know what this special squad Wesker had mentioned was really like. What makes it special? The high-level meeting concluded shortly afterward. Lovey transformed back to his original form. Medea entered and asked, "How did the meeting go?" "Everything went smoothly, tomorrow, Wesker. A high-ranking executive at Umbrella Corporation. We'll send a special team to Tokyo. Go and bring this team in for me." Medea replied without hesitation, "No problem. What are your plans for dealing with this team, boss?" Rose said, "I plan to brainwash this team and turn them into a sword to stab Wesker." Upon hearing this, Medea said softly, "Boss, you're being too mean, thank you for the compliment." Around noon, Lo Wei received a prayer from Siko Busujima. After the matter in Tokoname City came to an end, Siko Busujima returned to a normal life, however. She had been worried about the Umbrella Corporation. Her prayer to Luo Wei today was an inquiry to him about whether he needed her help. "Need not," Luo Wei responded crisply. "The Umbrella Corporation is progressing smoothly. Perhaps it won't be long before we can uproot it completely. You don't need to worry. If you really want to help me, go and kill the evil spirits. Whether it's Lovey or his followers. As long as the evil spirit is defeated, Lovey will receive a response. Their strength will have increased, however. This growth is far too slow. It takes more than a dozen evil spirits to gain even a little bit of light power." Ro didn't even bother with these evil spirit opponents. However, it seems just right to leave it to Siko Busujima and the others to deal with. Luo Wei can also enjoy the feeling of becoming stronger while lying down. Although this kind of strengthening is really slow, it is indeed becoming stronger. Even a small mosquito is still meat. After receiving Lo Wei's response, Siko Busujima nodded in agreement. She knew very well that she was a violent person, however. Due to modern society's violence has to be hidden. Now that she has the opportunity to slay evil spirits and unleash her full power, she's overjoyed and wouldn't refuse, so after school, Siko Busujima would take her wooden sword and happily go to slay the evil spirits. At the same time, Luo Wei also received a message from his clone. While Luo Wei was handling matters related to the Umbrella Corporation these past few days, his clone went to school in his place, and no one noticed anything amiss. Every day after returning home, the clone would share his day at school with Luo Wei. They're basically all trivial matters. For example, "I had dinner with Ritsu Tanaka today, and then I went to see Mio Akiyama's light music club activities." For example, "Today a couple on campus had a fight and threatened to break up. Then the teacher called out and criticized so-and-so in class." Luo Wei didn't care about these trivial matters at all. But this everyday life is rare and precious, therefore. Luo Wei insisted on sending his clones to school every day in order to experience this rare and precious daily routine. Only after receiving the message from his clone did Luo Wei realize what had happened. It was Kato Megumi who found Lovey's alter ego and expressed her desire to become Lovey's follower. Luo Wei then remembered that when he first saw Kato Megumi, he had a sudden inspiration and gave her a choice. "Make her your believers." He also asked Kato Megumi what she could offer him if she became his follower. For example, the secretary and Irina Nakiri can provide Lovey with 3 meals a day. Aoyama Nanami can work to provide money to Luo Wei. Siko Busujima can slay evil spirits and help Lovey become stronger while lying down. Yatsuya Miko possesses the most advanced yin-yang eyes, thus qualifying her to have Yurikawa Hana as a follower. Albeit as a mere bystander, so what can Megumi Kato offer? Kato Megumi couldn't answer the question at the time. So Lo Wei gave her time to go back and think about it. Now that Kato Megumi has suddenly found Luo Wei's doppelganger, does this mean she has figured out the problem? Perfect timing, I'm free right now and have nothing else to do. So I might as well go and meet them. So Luo Wei left Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch and went back to the school. I met Kato Megumi, who had been waiting for me for a long time. On the school rooftop, Luo Wei stepped forward and asked, "Have you figured out what I asked you back then?" Kato Megumi nodded. "He figured it out. All I can offer you, sir, is myself. I can dedicate myself and do my best to help adults do what they want me to do." This sentence sounds a bit convoluted, but it can be simply summarized as obeying orders, of course. It can also be described as obeying orders without question. It means the same thing. This is easier said than done. What if the orders issued by Luo Wei contradicted Kato Megumi's values? If Luo Wei asked her to kill someone she had no connection with, could Kato Megumi really do it? The answer is of course. Impossible. How could someone raised in modern society easily kill an ordinary person with whom they have no grudge? Luo Wei was certain that Kato Megumi couldn't do that. But she still said it, which shows that she really wanted to get rid of her weak presence. After all, because of this characteristic, she had suffered too much since childhood. Now that she finally had a chance to be free, she didn't care about anything else and just wanted to seize the opportunity. We'll talk about the future later. Luo Wei guessed that this was probably what Kato Megumi was thinking at the moment. Of course Luo Wei isn't a bad guy, and he wouldn't let Kato Megumi do such a thing. All he wanted was Kato Megumi's attitude. Kato Megumi has now made her stance clear to Luo Wei. Impeccable. A broad smile immediately spread across Luo Wei's face. You've passed, from now on you are my follower. Kato Megumi's face remained calm, but a slight smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. The fact that she could even produce an expression shows just how happy she is right now. Afterwards, Luo Wei transferred a portion of his power into Kato Megumi's body, turning her into his follower. With this power, Megumi Kato can regulate her own presence. Whether you become an ordinary high school student or a prominent figure in school depends entirely on the other person's decision. Just then Kato Megumi suddenly asked Lord Lovey, I have a question, you say. Does Lord Lovey have any other followers besides me? Of course, Luo Wei said matter-of-factly. Kato Megumi said, Then I can contact these believers and ask them how a newcomer can become a qualified believer. Upon hearing this, Luo Wei was taken aback. Kato Megumi's suggestion is actually very good. As time goes by, Lovey's followers will definitely increase. If two believers who don't know each other were to get into a fight, it would be quite a joke. Although the likelihood of this happening is low, it's still good to take precautions. Perhaps we should find a way to let them get to know each other. The first thing that came to Luo Wei's mind was that chat group that could connect all the worlds. Of course, with his current strength, Luo Wei cannot do that. It's impossible to traverse all the heavens and worlds. But connecting the believers in this world doesn't seem impossible. This isn't a big deal as a dimensional demon god. Lovey can allow his followers to communicate with him remotely. So, could he perhaps promote and expand this kind of long-distance communication? Establish a platform where your followers can speak freely. If this can really be achieved, it doesn't seem to be much different from a chat group. At most, it just lacks the cumbersome features of chat groups. Wait a moment, I'll create a group for you. Luo Wei immediately took action and established a platform for communication in front of Kato Megumi. This is not a difficult task for Luo Wei now. After the platform was established, Luo Wei used the power of light to create a mark and then projected it onto all believers from a distance. Through this mark, people can project their consciousness into the platform and then express their opinions on the platform. You can even send items you have around you to the platform for others to claim. This is what is known as a red envelope. This feature is actually not complicated at all, and Luo Wei quickly developed it before long. The believers successfully received the mark sent by Luo Wei. They logged their consciousness into the platform. By the way, this platform is actually Luo Wei's dimension of light. He simply isolated a small space from the dimension of light and established this platform. The platform's true form is the colossal palace that Lovey built in the dimension of light. In one of the palace's halls, there was a round table large enough to accommodate a dozen people for a meeting. This round table will gradually grow larger as the number of Luo Wei's followers increases. Currently, Luo Wei has few followers, so the round table is not very large. After Luo took his seat at the head of the round table, one believer after another appeared in their respective places. Of course, you had appears here is not the believer's true form. It's just a part of what they mean, however. With Luo Wei's help manifested his true face in the hall. Starting from Loi's right are Media Hohenheim, Arena Nakiri Secretary Kosiko Busujima Miko Yatsuya, Hana Yurikawa Nanami Aoyamund Megumi Kato, who has just become a follower of Loi. Luo Wei looked around and said to everyone, "The people who have appeared here this time are basically my followers. The reason I've gathered you all here is to introduce you to each other. Because as the number of believers increases, if you meet and don't recognize each other, you might make a fool of yourselves. Let's take this opportunity to introduce ourselves. Let's start with Medea." Medea glanced at the group of people around her, smiled slightly and slowly stood up saying Medea, a disciple of Hecate, the goddess of magic. But now she is the secretary under the boss. Arena Nakiri and the others were quite surprised. "You are the legendary witch, Princess of Colchis." Medea smiled slightly and said, "That's all in the past. I'm just the boss's secretary," she emphasized it again. Then she sat down gracefully. Lovey said, "Medea is a heroic spirit proficient in magic. Or you could say magic. Any of you who want to learn magic can go to Medea." Medea nodded. "I will compile my mastery of magic into a grimoire and place it on this platform for everyone to read." Then Hohenheim stood up, von Hohenheim Paracelsus. Also a heroic spirit but just an alchemist. This character is not as well known as Medea. Only a few of Lo's followers knew each other. Most people have never heard of her. After Hohenheim sat down, Arena Nakiri stood up. Arena Nakiri of Tatsuki Academy is just a cook. The secretary stood up. "I am Hisako Shirato, a student at Tatsuki Academy and Arena's secretary." Siko Busujima said. Siko Busujima is a student at Fujimi Private Academy and the successor of a kendo dojo. She knows a little about swordsmanship. Miko Yatsuya stood up and said, "I am Miko Yatsuya, a student at the private Sakuragi Academy. I possess the ability to see the future. Please take good care of me." Yurikawa said, "I am Yurikawa, a close friend of Miko and an ordinary student." "Please take good care of me," Aoyama Nanami said. "I am Aoyama Nanami, a student in the general course of Soimai University of the Arts affiliated high school. My dream is to become a voice actress. I currently run a massage parlor. Please take good care of me," Yurikawa couldn't help but ask. "If your dream is sound, we open a massage parlor." Aoyama Nanami said, "Pursuing dreams requires money. So I opened a massage parlor to earn money to support my dreams in the future." Yurikawa's eyes lit up immediately. "Wow, Ms. Aoyama, you're amazing. People who pursue their dreams are truly dazzling." Aoyama Nanami said, "This is all thanks to Lord Lovey's help. If he hadn't taken me as a believer, I would be doing my best just by working part-time." Finally, Kato Megumi stood up and said, "I am Kato Megumi, a relative who has just become a follower of Lord Lovey. Because I have a naturally weak presence, I am often ignored. Please give me your guidance in the future." Medea glanced at Kato Megumi with interest. "A naturally weak presence, that's a very rare talent." Hohenheim standing to the side nodded and said, "That's right, you're a good candidate to be an assassin. If some assassins knew about you, they would be overjoyed and take you as their apprentice." Kato Megumi. To be honest, she really didn't want this rare talent at all. However, seeing everyone's envious and amazed looks, these words stuck in his throat for a moment, and he couldn't utter them. Luo Wei clapped his hands, drawing everyone's attention and coming to Kato Megumi's rescue. "Now that we all know each other, you can say whatever you want to say here today, of course. If you don't want to come here, you can also create a group on your phone. I created this simply to facilitate face-to-face communication among everyone. Besides, everyone can put some things they don't need here. This place is like a large warehouse. I have added time constancy to this place. So no matter how much time passes here, time outside will not change. Also, if you have something you want to give each other, you don't need to be face-to-face. As long as you go through here, you can deliver the items to the other party. Consider this a benefit I'm giving to you believers. Wow, this place is so convenient. After hearing Luo Wei's account, everyone present was astonished, as expected of a deity. He could even do such a thing. It was simply outrageous. Luo Wei continued, furthermore, this is my territory. Not only can your consciousness enter, but even your physical bodies can enter. If we encounter a powerful enemy in the future, we can come here to take refuge, or even call for reinforcements. In addition, there are private rooms for you to check out yourself. Most of the rooms are the same. You can decorate them however you like. Medea, intrigued, asked, Boss, may I see my room? Sure. Lo Wei pointed to the staircase in the hall and said, Go up this staircase, and on the second floor there is a wide corridor. There is a room in the corridor with your name on it. Medea smiled slightly and walked up to the second floor. Sure enough, she saw her name in front of a room. I pushed open the door and went inside to take a look. It was a rather simple room, however it can be modified. Lovey has granted Medea the authority to modify the room according to her own preferences. And even the size of the space can be changed at any time. To put it bluntly, Medea could have even transformed this room into her own palace. They could even expand the room and transform it into a kingdom without any problem. But such a transformation was painstaking and laborious. So Medea did it anyway, transforming the room into her magic workshop according to her own memories. On the other hand, Kato Megumi still remembers why she came here. So she went to Irina Nakiri and asked her how to become a proper believer. The reason for asking Irina Nakiri was that after talking with everyone, she discovered that Irina Nakiri was the first person to become a follower of Lovey. The problem is that Irina Nakiri has not been a follower of Lovey for very long, and she has no experience in how to be a proper follower. She simply followed Luo Wei's instructions, preparing 3 lavish meals a day for him. There's really no experience to share. The same applies to the secretary's son. Left with no other option, Kato Megumi had to ask others for advice. Siko Busujima stated that she was following Lo Wei's instructions and eliminating demons every day to repay Lo Wei. Aoyama Nanami earns money every day to provide for Luo Wei's daily expenses. Yatsuya Miko said, The reason I became your follower is because I have top-notch yin-yang eyes, which allow me to see what will happen in the future. I can offer some insignificant help when you need it. After asking around, Kato Megumi discovered that every believer here possessed unique skills. They either know how to cook, how to make money, or have special talents that can help Luo Wei in crucial moments. Although I also have special talents, but she had no idea how Shuith, her weak presence, could possibly help Luo Wei. Seeing that Kato Megumi seemed a little confused, Aoyama Nanami simply extended an invitation to her. Would you like to run a massage parlor with me and earn money to support the adults? Kato Megumi said expressionlessly, But I don't seem to know how to massage. Aoyama Nanami said it didn't matter actually. I don't know how to massage either. What I mean by massage is just cheating with the power of light. The power of light can dispel fatigue and restore energy. It gives people a feeling of floating on air. Even without massage skills, using a small amount of light energy can still make people feel very comfortable. So my massage parlor is actually quite popular. If you come, you can make money with me. After thinking about it carefully, Kato Megumi realized that it might not be a bad idea. At least she did play a role. So she looked at Ro and asked, May I, sir? Luo Wei calmly said, You don't need to look at me. You decide what you want to do. Whether it's learning to cook with Irina or making money with Nanami. It's up to you. Even if you go with Siko to eliminate evil spirits. I have no objection, just do what you like. Upon hearing this, Kato Megumi readily accepted Aoyama Nanami's invitation, and the two quickly arranged a time and place to meet. They left the Believer platform afterwards. Irina Nakiri and her secretary also left to prepare dinner for Lovey. After bidding farewell to Lo, Siko Busujima continued to eliminate evil spirits. With nothing to do, Yatsuya Miko and Yurikawa Hana went upstairs, found their rooms, and started renovating them to their liking, transforming them into their ideal rooms. Luo Wei neither confirmed nor denied this, and then left the platform upon returning to the real world. As Luo Wei opened his eyes, he also saw that Kato Megumi had opened her eyes. He previously stated that the Believer platform was imbued with time constancy, meaning that no matter how much time passes inside, the time outside will not change. Although Kato Megumi left the platform first, Luo Wei left later but in the real world. He still woke up at the same time as Luo Wei. Lord Lovey, I'm going to find Miss Aoyama. Seeing that Luo Wei had also opened his eyes, Kato Megumi bowed to Luo Wei and took her leave. Luo Wei nodded, waved his hand and said, "Go." Kato Megumi then left the rooftop at night. After returning home and having eaten the dinner that Nakiri Irina and his secretary had prepared for him, there was a sudden knock on the door. He opened the door and saw that it was an acquaintance standing there. Yukiana Yukirai, a yakai from the Nura clan. "Good evening, Mr. Lo, good evening. You must have some good news to tell me this time." Shirley said, "We've captured another batch of man-eating monsters. I wonder if you have time to check if the monster you're looking for is among them." "Okay, where?" "The usual place, led by the Snow Woman." Luo Wei returned to the unfinished building from before. The top floor of the unfinished building. A group of bloodthirsty yakai were bound hand and foot, guarded by yakai from the Nura clans, and led by the Headless Demon. When the Headless Ghost saw Luo Wei, he neither welcomed him nor showed any disgust. He stood with his arms crossed over his chest, leaning against a pillar, his eyes fixed on the ground, as if he hadn't seen Luo Wei at all. Luo Wei guessed that he still harbored resentment towards the time when he beat him up. "Even though so much time has passed, I'm still not over it. This person is quite stingy, putting yourself in his shoes. If the person who got beaten up were Luo Wei, he might be even more petty." So Luo Wei pretended not to see the Headless Ghost and focused his gaze on the group of monsters who were tied up. He walked over and looked at the first monster. "Give me a laugh, and if it's pleasant, I'll let you go, okay?" The monster was completely bewildered, but when it heard that Luo Wei was willing to let it go, it laughed, tried to smile in a nicer way. Puff. The next second, this guy's head was blown off by Ro. "It sounds awful," Luo Wei said with a look of disgust. "Who told you to laugh so awfully, other monsters? Good heavens, this guy's a lunatic." They were all trembling. Luo Wei turned his gaze to the second monster. "You give me a smile 2053. If you smile nicely, I'll let you go." The monster was so frightened that its heart trembled, and a smile that was even uglier than crying appeared on its face. And it laughed out loud. But the tone was laughter, not crying. PFFT, then. As expected, he was shot in the head by Ro and died a violent death. Luo Wei could tell that this guy wasn't the one he was looking for. So he turned his attention to the third monster, who was cowardly and scared out of his wits, begging, "Spare me. Spare me, please, spare me." But Luo Wei did not let him go and still killed him. As Lovey turned his gaze to the fourth monster, Sherry suddenly spoke up, "Lord Lovasomion is coming." Luo Wei hummed in agreement. In fact, he had also heard footsteps looking towards the stairs. A petite girl slowly walked up and appeared before everyone. "Good evening, Javrion from the Nura clan. And this unknown boy." The girl gracefully greeted Lovey and the Nura clan members. A key Luo Wei's gaze swept over the girl a few times. She was petite, but had a dignified appearance and was often mistaken for a middle school student. Wearing a beret, leaning on a canes, and dressed in a white lace dress, she exuded the air of a young lady from a wealthy family. "It looks familiar, it looks so familiar. Isn't this Kotoko Iwanaga, the female protagonist from the anime manga series Inspector?" If Luo Wei remembered correctly, the other party was indeed a young lady from a wealthy family, and also the goddess of wisdom among the monsters. Because he became the god of wisdom for the monsters, he paid a terrible price, his right eye hidden in his hair. Is a prosthetic eye. and his left knee is also a prosthetic limb. Shirley clearly recognized the goddess of wisdom and asked curiously, "Miss Kadakaw, what brings you here?" Kotoko Iwanaga's gaze fell on Luo Wei. "Actually, I came here today to find this unknown young man. Can you chat with me for a bit, young man?" "Sure." Lowy was also interested in this god of wisdom. He took 2 chairs from the dimension of light and placed them on the ground. "Please sit down, Ms. Kotoko Iwanaga." Kotoko Iwanaga's eyes flashed with surprise as she walked over and sat down in the chair opposite Chuanwei. "Have you heard of me?" Liu Wei hummed in agreement. "I've heard of the god of wisdom among the monsters." At this point, he turned to look at Yukiana Yukirai from the Nura clan. "Miss Yukirai, can you tell me how you Yakai view this Miss Iwanaga Kotoko?" Shirley's gaze was somewhat complicated as she said, "Miss Kotoko is less a goddess of wisdom for the Yakai and more a protector of them." Kotoko Iwanaga smiled slightly. "Miss Shirley is being a bit too assertive, on the contrary." Luo Wei was somewhat surprised and asked, "What does this mean?" Shirley said. The Warring States period was an era in which monsters roamed freely, giving rise to many powerful monsters. These monsters possessed terrifying power. Once they made a move, heavens and earth would collapse. The weak monsters could only tremble in fear before these powerful demons. Therefore, weaker monsters have no choice but to band together for warmth and to fight against these powerful monsters. However, even so, these small demons still did not have the right to bargain with the great demons. But at that moment, a human priestess appeared. This priestess possesses great power. Yet she also harbors a trace of pity for weak monsters. Therefore, these weak monsters gathered behind this priestess, obeyed her commands, and elected her as their goddess of wisdom. In this way, the weak monsters finally had a chance to breathe in this era. As times progress, the powerful online female netizens are gradually disappearing. But the tradition of the god of wisdom has been passed down. Weak monsters will randomly select some girls who are suitable for the priestess's succession, so that they can inherit the priestess's will and become their god of wisdom. Therefore, in my opinions, she is the protector of Kotoko's monsters. Wow, so the god of wisdom in this world has such an origin. Luo Wei's gaze locked onto Kotoko Iwanaga, and he indeed discovered a powerful energy field within her body. This shows that Kotoko Iwanaga is not an ordinary person. She was a priestess. This is quite different from the plot in fiction. In the anime in /Spectre, Kotoko Iwanaga, though the goddess of wisdom, is ultimately just an ordinary little girl. She has no supernatural powers and can only rely on her boyfriend to fight. But in this world, Kotoko Iwanaga is actually a powerful shrine maiden, which is quite interesting. "So what brings you here, Kotoko Iwanaga?" I asked curiously. Luo Wei asked. Kotoko Iwanaga said, "Actually, some Yakai have been complaining to me recently that the Nura clan seems to have gone mad, capturing Yakai everywhere, and they hope I can negotiate with the Nura clan. After investigating, I found that the Liang group mainly captured man-eating monsters. So you've been observing from the sidelines, and today you've finally made some progress. The Nura clan captured these man-eating monsters entirely because of you." "Right, that's right." Seeing how thoroughly Kotoko Iwanaga had investigated, Luo Wei didn't bother with playing games and readily admitted it. "The Nura clan is indeed here to capture these man-eating Yakai." "May I ask about the reason?" Kotoko Iwanaga asked. "Did you eat it?" Kotoko Iwanaga paused for a moment, then carefully examined Luo Wei for a few moments. He was indeed a human, not some vengeful spirit or ghost. Luo Wei laughed and said, "No need to look. Because I am a demi-human, so I came back to life." Kotoko Iwanaga then suddenly realized. Luo Wei said, "Not only did I survive, but I also gained great power as a result of the misfortune. So I'm looking for the monster that ate me." However, the memory of being eaten was too horrific. So I subconsciously questioned the monster's face. But I still remember his voice, and the hearty laughter as he devoured me. Meanwhile, the monster snowbound hand and foot. finally understood why Lo Wei had made them laugh. So that's how it is, but God knows. They've never actually eaten Luo Wei before. They don't even know who Luo Wei is. This is simply an undeserved disaster. Many monsters were on the verge of tears. After learning the reason why Lovey had the Nura clan capture Yok, Kotoko Iwanaga felt a bit troubled. If Lovey wasn't a demi-human, he would already be dead at the hands of a yokai. Getting him to give up revenge is no easy task, moreover. She had absolutely no reason to make Lo Wei give up his revenge. I see, after a moment of silence, Kotoko Iwanaga said. Lord Lovey, I have a question I'd like to ask you. What? Are any of the monsters captured today your enemies? I'm not sure, I haven't finished the interrogation yet. Luo Wei glanced at the group of monsters and said this. Kotoko Iwanaga said, if and I mean if. The yokai you're looking for isn't among this group. Then can you leave this matter to me, you? Kotoko Iwanaga nodded, in fact. The Nura clan's actions these days have made all the yokai in Tokyo feel insecure. And many yokai are even planning to flee Tokyo. If this continues, the monster that ate you might leave Tokyo. So I hope you can leave this matter to me. I will investigate this monster in secret, however. I hope you can persuade the Nura clan to abandon their actions these days and restore order to the yokai of Tokyo. In exchange, I promise you that I will definitely catch the monster that ate you. On the honor of the God of Wisdoms. Kotoko Iwanaga raised her head and looked at Luo Wei seriously. Her eyes resolute and unwavering. Luo Wei looked at Iwanaga Kotoko seriously for a moment. Then suddenly burst into laughter. Very good, very energetic, I like you very much, Ms. Iwanaga Kotoko become my followers, huh? Kotoko Iwanaga was taken aback. The word believer wasn't something anyone could just casually say. Luo Wei stretched out his hands and placed them on Kotoko Iwanaga's shoulders, pouring in a large amount of light power and forcibly turning Kotoko Iwanaga into his believer. Lo Wei liked this kind of believer very much and naturally wouldn't miss out on him. Feeling the power sent by Luo Wei, Kotoko Iwanaga couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. His severed left leg grew back, and his lost right eye also grew back in the blink of an eye. She went from being disabled to being a normal person. To Kotoko Iwanaga's even greater surprise, the power that Loei sent was inexhaustible, quickly surpassing the priestess's inheritance and granting Kotoko Iwanaga even greater power. You must be joking, Kotoko Iwanaga was dumbfounded. After a while, she came to her senses and couldn't help but mutter. What a tough-minded deity, Luo Wei stated frankly. Isn't it only natural to try every means to get what you like? 3. Kotoko Iwanaga rolled her eyes. She had to talk to Lavido. He was clearly the god of wisdom for the monsters. But somehow he became a follower of another god. This was so outrageous that Kotoko Iwanaga didn't know how to face Lo Wei for a moment. Fortunately, the tradition of priestesses still exists. The spiritual power within her body and Luo Wei's power of light were clearly distinct, each keeping to itself. So she remains the goddess of wisdom for the monsters. Only now she's even more powerful than before. In a sense, this should be considered a good thing. Afterwards, Luo Wei placed a platform mark on Iwanaga Kotoko and told her about the benefits and effects of the platform mark. Kotoko Iwanaga was speechless as she listened to the words, private space. Meetings of believers, constant time storage space. 0 requesting flowers. These words are so sophisticated if all of this is true. Becoming a follower of Loei doesn't seem like an unacceptable thing. After all, he gave so much at this time. Luo Wei was unaware of Kotoko Iwanaga's emotional journey. He is forcibly seizing the memories of these bound monsters. He had just told Kotoko Iwanaga his purpose in seeking out these monsters. And the monsters had all heard it. To prevent these monsters from altering their unique laughter using their demonic energy, Luo Wei simply abandoned the interrogation and chose the most straightforward and brutal method. Access memories, the monsters were far weaker than Luo Wei. And their memories were easily read by him, unfortunately. No monster that had devoured its predecessor was found among them. Although these monsters ate people, they had no memory of Luo Wei. In other words, they are not the people Ro is looking for. This disappointed Ro unexpectedly. The monster that ate him was so lucky that he failed to catch it twice in a row. But Lo Wei believed that as long as this guy was still in Tokyo, he would find him sooner or later. Then he was torn to pieces and executed by slow slicing. So he turned to Kotoko Iwanaga and said, "The monster I'm looking for isn't here. I'm leaving the rest to you, make sure you find this guy." Kotoko Iwanaga nodded, "Leave it to me. I will definitely find this guy." Luo Wei was very satisfied with Kotoko Iwanaga's attitude. He extracted a fragment of memory from his own mind and inserted it into Kotoko Iwanaga's brain. This fragment of memory is the memory of the monster laughing loudly when it ate its predecessor. With this memory, Kotoko Iwanaga's chances of finding the monster are much greater. Finally, Lovey looked at Sherry of the Nura clan and said, "I plan to leave the rest to Kotoko. The Nura clan doesn't need to get involved. But you have helped me a lot before, so I must give you a proper return gift." After thinking for a moment, Luo Wei grabbed all the man-eating monsters who were bound hand and foot, and used the power of light to forcibly knead and squeeze them into a sphere the size of a ping-pong ball. At the same time, a portion of the power of light was inputted, which evolved all the resentment and evil energy of these monsters. Only the most primal aura of the monsters remained. It also contains a portion of the power of light left behind by Lovey. The two are like a yin-yang symbol, perfectly integrated together. He then tossed the ball to Shirley. Shirley caught the sphere and immediately felt the powerful force inside it. This is a rather pure force with this power. Shirley's demonic aura expanded uncontrollably, growing several times its original size in an instant. This made her feel a power she had never felt before. With this thing, she even dared to challenge Nura Rehan to a duel. Shirley stammered, What is this thing?" She wasn't quite sure why this thing could amplify her demonic 167 energy, making her even stronger. "You should know about the Shiken Jewel, right?" Luo Wei calmly said. The existence of the Higurashi Shrine in this world proves that the Inuyasha storyline also took place. So the Shiken Jewel naturally exists as well. Kotoko Iwanaga nodded. He heard of it. It was formed by a powerful shrine maiden named Midori during her battles with countless yokai. It was created by merging her soul with the souls of the yokai. It's a very powerful spiritual gem. Any monster that obtains it can gain immense power. Luo Wei nodded and pointed to the small ball in Shirley's hand, saying, "This thing is a replica that I made based on the Shiken Jewel. It's not as powerful as the original Shiken Jewel, but it can still enhance the power of yokai. You may call it the Jewel of Two Souls, because it was created using the power of the monsters and my own power. Consider this my return gift to your Nura clan." Shirley looked down at the twin soul jade in her hand and quickly said, "Lord Luo, why isn't this a bit too precious?" Although the twin soul's jewel is not as powerful as the Shiken Jewel, it is still a very powerful treasure. The Nura clan had only captured some man-eating yak. Such a return gift was far too generous. Luo Wei waved his hand and said, "It's just a trivial little thing, nothing special." Shirley smiled bitterly, as expected of a monster who could defeat the Grand General with a single finger. Such a precious thing was nothing more than a worthless trinket in the eyes of the other party. The gap between the two sides is simply too large. In that case, I will accept it on behalf of the general. Shirley took a deep breath, did not continue to refuse, but instead bowed to Luo Wei and accepted the return gift. Upon seeing this, the headless ghost couldn't help but look at Luo Wei with new respect. He originally thought that Luo Wei was looking for the Nura clan to find a grueling experience to help him. The final result may very well be a thankless task, but they couldn't not do it, because they had lost and been defeated by Luo Wei. In order to avoid being wiped out by Luo, they had no choice but to obey his orders. But to his surprise, in the end, Ro returned the favor. And it's such a powerful treasure. It turns out this guy isn't as awful as I thought. I misunderstood him with that thought. The headless ghost's tense expression relaxed. He wanted to apologize to Lo, but he didn't know how to start in the end. In this conflicted state, he was pulled away by Shirley and left the abandoned building. After the Nura clan members retreated, Kotoko Iwanaga bowed to Lovey and said, "Well then, I'll take my leave to Lord Lovey. Please wait for my good news. I will find the person who attacked you as soon as possible." Luo Wei nodded, "Then I'll have to trouble you." Kotoko Iwanaga nodded, said, "You're welcome," and left. After leaving the abandoned building, Kotoko Iwanaga couldn't help but give a bitter smile. The world is indeed a huge makeshift operation. Anything outrageous can happen originally. She wanted to stop the Nura clan's actions. But by a twist of fate, she became a believer in a god and was granted such powerful abilities. Unbelievable, unbelievables. The bad news is that from now on, there will be 10 more people pointing fingers at my head. The good news is that this deity is truly generous. He genuinely bestows power. She is now more than 3 times stronger than before. This can be considered a case of fortune and misfortune being intertwined. Meanwhile, Luo Wei, still inside the abandoned building, naturally noticed Iwanaga Kotoko's resistance towards him. Although very slight, it does exist. However, he didn't care about that as time went by. He was confident that he could melt away Kotoko Iwanaga's resistance to him. At that time, she would naturally become his true believer. After all, Luo Wei believed that there was no god in the world more generous than himself. Time flew by and it was the next morning. Luo Wei sent his clone to school, while he himself arrived at the Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch early in the morning. As soon as I entered, I heard some bad news. Someone has taken over the Umbrella Corporation branch. The person who reported this bad news to Lo was Hohenheim. Yesterday, he stayed at the Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch to study the new virus and discovered that the Tokyo branch had been hacked. The intruders were cautious, but they were still discovered by Hohenheim. However, Hohenheim did not alert the mans, because he knew that there was someone else behind him. If we catch this guy, it might alert the people behind him. So he pretended not to know anything, secretly transformed into a spirit, and followed the intruder to their lair. Upon hearing this, Luo Wei asked curiously, "Who are these people?" "It's someone from Umbrella Corporation," Hohenheim said. Ro was taken aback. Hohenheim repeated, "It's people from the Umbrella Corporation." Luo Wei finally reacted. "You mean it was someone from Umbrella Corporation who hacked into Umbrella Corporation?" "That's right," Hohenheim said. "I overheard their conversation yesterday. They're from Umbrella Corporation headquarters, and they're here to investigate the Tokyo branch because they suspect something's wrong there." Interesting, Luo Wei stroked his chin. He had a video conference with headquarters yesterday morning, and then someone hacked into the Tokyo branch last night. Could it be that the people at headquarters have already noticed something? Is Wesker really that amazing? He thought he had performed very well yesterday, but he didn't expect that he would still arouse Wesker's suspicion. No wonder he is a high-ranking executive of Umbrella Corporation. He has some skills, of course. It's also possible that my acting skills are just too poor. "So after you found their hideout, did you capture them?" I asked curiously. Luo Wei asked. Hohenheim shook his head. "No, I think it's up to you, boss, to decide whether or not to take action against them." "Where are they now?" Ro asked. "It's inside a club in Tokyo," Hohenheim said. "Club? What kind of club?" "It's a shooting range club." "Oh, Tokyo actually has a club like this. That's interesting, let's go check it out." Just as Luo Wei was about to take action, Medea suddenly pushed open the office door and walked in. "Boss, we have received a message from headquarters saying that the special team has arrived in Tokyo, and we need to go and meet them." "Oh, where is the special team?" "At a club," Medea said. "A club?" Ro was taken aback, then said, "Could it be a shooting range club?" Medea's eyes flashed with surprise and she said with a smile, "It seems that Ota boss already knows." Luo Wei suddenly realized so. It was this special team that invaded our branch last night. An invasion last night, Medea asked, puzzled. Lo simply repeated what Hohenheim had told him. Medea wasn't stupid. She immediately realized what was going on and said to Luo Wei with a smile. Looks like you've already been suspected by the other side. Boss. Wesker clearly said he would send a special team today. But the team arrived yesterday. They even hacked into Umbrella Corporation's division. This clearly shows a lack of trust in the Umbrella Corporation branch. Hence the dispatch of a special team to conduct a covert investigation of the Tokyo branch. Ro turned to Hohenheim and asked, so, did these guys find anything substantial last night? Hohenheim shook his head. No, Luo Wei said. Then let's go and welcome this special team that belongs to us. A group of people got up, left the Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch, and arrived at a shooting range club located in the suburbs. The club is large and has a fairly spacious shooting range. However, we are not open for business today. When Lovey arrived here with Medea and Hohenheim, there was a sign at the entrance indicating that it was closed for the day. At this moment, Luo Wei still acted as if he were the head of the Tokyo branch. Medea remained his secretary. Its appearance has not changed at all. The same goes for Hohenheim. After seeing Ro's disguised face through the camera, the people inside the club opened the shooting range doors. Luo Wei swaggered in the club's shooting range. A group of soldiers dressed in very distinctive attire gathered together. The soldiers were equipped with gas masks. Radios on their left shoulder sand wore black clothing. This outfit looks so familiar, it's you, Black Watcher. When the Blacklight virus first appeared, Luo Wei found it strange that the Umbrella Corporation had come up with it. It seemed like a complete mismatch. Now even their Blackwatch squad has appeared. Lo has good reason to suspect that the prototype of torture has been stitched into this world. He just didn't expect that the Umbrella Corporation was so powerful that it could even control the Blackwatch team. No wonder it was a world-class company. If Ro remembers correctly, Blackwatch is the most elite unit in the world in prototype. Their training is extremely rigorous. With a high mortality rate, they have very high requirements for every soldier. And their weapons and equipment are the most advanced in the world. It is also a team belonging to the Department of Defense and its subordinate Advanced Research Projects Agency. But now this squad has actually been called up by Wesker. Tell Mirant the Umbrella Corporation. The world's protective umbrella incredibly powerful. What surprised Ro even more was that the commander of the Blackwatch squad was a woman. A woman with shoulder-length short hair, a red miniskirt, and black stockings. Hello, I am Ada Wong, the temporary commander of this special squad. When Ada Wong saw Ro walk in, she smiled and extended her right hand to him. Hello, Aunt Tian. Lo smiled and shook hands with Ada Wong. But Ada Wong's face immediately darkened upon hearing this. No matter who she is, every woman cares about her age. Especially women like Ada Wong. She was addressed as Aunt Wang the moment she opened her mouth. And the fact that she didn't punch Luo Wei was already quite polite. Ada Wong said with a forced smile, "It's really impolite of you to call me Aunt Wang, and besides, you're older than me, President Allen. Allen is the CEO of Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch. This is also the person Luo Wei is currently impersonating." Luo Wei smiled, dropping his disguise and revealing his true self. "Do you think I'm qualified to call you Aunt Wang now?" Ada Wong's expression changed drastically, and she subconsciously tried to pull her hand back, only to find that Ro's grip on her right hand was as firm as steel, and she couldn't budge it at all. "Who exactly are you, a good person?" Ada Wong looked completely bewildered. Lowy said, "Can't someone who stops your Umbrella Corporation from destroying humanity be called a good person? What nonsense are you talking about?" As Ada Wong spoke, she suddenly kicked Lo in the groin. This is the most vulnerable part of a man's body. Anyone who gets kicked here will let go. Ada Wong has that kind of confidence. But the next second, her confidence vanished. Before her kick even reached Luo Wei's groin, she was frozen in place. like a little wind spirit frozen in place by Sun Wukong's magic. Even the leg that was kicked out stopped in midair. He seemed to have turned into a motionless doll. Lo Wei looked Ada Wong up and down a few times. It seems you're not very clear about the Umbrella Corporation's shady dealings. I'm curious, Aunt Wong, what is your true identity? Are they people from Umbrella Corporation? Wesker's people? Or spies infiltrated Umbrella Corporation? Or spies from other countries? There's no way around it. After all, Ada Wong's identity is a mystery in Resident Evil. God knows whose side this guy really works for. Ignoring Ro's ramblings, Ada Wong stared intently at him. Who exactly are you? Didn't I tell you, a good person? A good person who stopped the Umbrella Corporation from destroying humanity. Ada Wong rolled her eyes. Although she couldn't move her body, she could still control her eyes and mouth. Lo wasn't angry when he saw that Ada Wong didn't believe him. How about this, Aunt Wang? I'll give you a chance. I'll ask you questions and you answer them. Just tell me honestly what you know and I'll let you go. Okay? You're really that kind. Ada Wong looked at Ro suspiciously, unable to believe that Ro would let her go so easily. Luo Wei said, as long as you don't lie, I'll let you go. After all, you're one of my childhood goddesses. Ada Wong snorted coldly. What childhood goddess? He had never even met Ro, and it's one of them. Who are they looking down on? Ro said. First tell me. Is the special forces behind you the Blackwatch? Ada Wong looked at Ro in surprise. You even know this? This special unit is very mysterious. Even she didn't know it existed. It wasn't until yesterday, when Wesker asked her for help investigating Umbrella's Tokyo branch, that this special team was handed over to her. It was at this time that she learned that Wesker had such a powerful elite force under his command. That's incredible, but it's strange that this stranger, Ro, knows the name Blackwatch. Could it be that this guy is a mole within the Umbrella Corporation? The thought that Luo Wei could impersonate the CEO of the Tokyo branch made Ava Wang completely confident in his judgment. Don't be fooled by the fact that this guy looks as young as a high school student. He might be a cunning old fox pretending to be young. If Lo knew what Ada Wong was thinking at that moment, he would definitely give Ada Wong a thumbs up. In a sense, she was absolutely right. Luo Wei was indeed not an ordinary high school student. After all, before he transmigrated, he was already a qualified office worker. My second question is, what time did you arrive in Tokyo yesterday? Ada Wong was taken aback. The other party even knew that they had entered Tokyo yesterday. It seems there really is a mole within Umbrella Corporation headquarters. Yesterday afternoon at 5 o'clock, this time. Ada Wong didn't lie, because she believed the other side already knew this information through an insider. Asking this question now is probably to confirm the accuracy of the information. She's done this kind of thing countless times. The third question is, what is the purpose of your visit here? Ada Wong said. Wesker suspects there's a mole in the Tokyo branch. So he sent me to investigate. Is he suspicious of Alan? Ro asked. No, he didn't suspect Alan. Ada Wong shook her head. If Wesker suspected Alan, the CEO of the Tokyo branch, she wouldn't have met with Zero Dimension today. Wesker only suspected that there were traitors within the Tokyo branch. So he sent me a day early to catch this traitor and then give Alan the CEO warning. But Ada Wong never imagined that there was indeed a mole in the Tokyo branch, and that this mole held a very high position. Good news, Wesker's guess was correct. Bad news, the mole is the CEO of the Tokyo branch. No, it's not about executives becoming president. Instead, the CIO was impersonated. This is incredible, even unbelievable. Are all the people in the Tokyo branch incompetent? Such a large company has had its CEO impersonated, and not a single person knows it. I bet you're thinking right now that everyone in the Tokyo branch is useless. The CIO has been impersonated and nobody even knows it. Luo Wei smiled and looked at Ada Wong, who looked terrified, and slowly said, is there any possibility that the people in the Tokyo branch are all my people? How is that possible? Ada Wong refused to believe such an absurd claim. The Tokyo branch was full of his people. Didn't that mean everyone at Umbrella Corporation headquarters was useless? Wesker doesn't seem like that kind of useless person. Luo Wei said, "Not only are the Tokyo branch staff all my people, but you could all be my people too." Ada Wong was taken aback. The Black Watchers behind her sprang into action. Walked up behind Roind shouted boss. Ada Wong was dumbfounded. This. What did you do to them? Ada Wong asked in horror. When she was frozen in place, Blackwatch remained completely still, leading Ada Wong to believe they were also frozen. 014703102, Feilu, 101,591,061. Now that she has witnessed the Blackwatch's collective betrayal, Ada Wong almost believes what Rose said. But she quickly realized that Blackwatch was a special force recruited by Wesker, and couldn't possibly be Rose's men. The reason this group betrayed them must be because of something Luo Wei did. You are very smart, Luo Wei gave Ada Wong an approving look. Hypnosis, brainwashing, something like that. I used a similar ability to brainwash this special neighborhood when we first met. So from now on, I'm their boss. Ada Wong's pupils contracted sharply. She finally understood why no one in the Tokyo branch had noticed when the CEO had been replaced. It turns out they've been brainwashed. This is truly unbelievable. So you're planning to brainwash me next too? Ai Tianwang said bitterly. People like her hate losing their own thoughts and will the most. But now it seems that this kind of thing is unavoidable. Ada Wong felt an unprecedented fear and couldn't help but curse Wesker in her heart. You be asterisk, you've really killed me. Luo Wei shook his head and said, I don't intend to brainwash you. After all, you were one of my childhood goddesses. Upon hearing this, the Heavenly King was deeply moved. She had previously dismissed this childhood goddess filter. Now she has to admire the benefits of this filter, even though she doesn't know when she met Luo Wei. But this childhood goddess is just so amazing. It doesn't matter if it's one of them. As long as you don't get brainwashed, it's fine. She was terrified of losing her sense of self. One last question. Ro narrowed his eyes at Ada Wong and said, I expect you to answer me honestly. Because this question concerns your life. I may not brainwash you, but I wouldn't mind killing you with my own hands. Ada Wong's face stiffened and she couldn't help but retort. Is this how you treat your childhood goddess? Luo Wei said. If my childhood goddess falls, I wouldn't mind killing her with my own hands to maintain her image in my heart. Ada Wong, what kind of bullshit theory is this? Luo remained unmoved. Tell me, Ada Wong. Do you know what the Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch is planning to do? What? Ada Wong was startled when she saw Rose's sharp gaze fixed on her. She subconsciously believed what Luo Wei said. This issue concerned her life and death. If she could, she would rather live than die. After much hesitation, Ada Wong finally revealed her true feelings. To be honest, Wesker and I are just business partners. I'm not an employee of Umbrella Corporation, so I'm not very clear about the actions of Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch. Lowy smiled faintly about to speak, when Ada Wong stopped him and continued, however. Based on my understanding of Wesker and Umbrella, what their Tokyo branch intends to do is probably not a good thing. It could even be considered malicious. Umbrella Corporation starts with biopharmaceuticals, so I reckon these guys are likely to arrest homeless people at their Tokyo branch and conduct some inhumane human experiments. What? This kind of thing is actually quite common in Europe and America. Many large pharmaceutical groups hire homeless people to conduct drug experiments. And the homeless people are well aware of this. Many homeless people who are desperate will sign an agreement and take a gamble if they want to turn their lives around. As for whether 543 can survive, only God knows. At this point, Ada Wong paused, her gaze fixed intently on Ro. Wesker is an extreme person, and Umbrella Corporation is one of the top multinational corporations in the world. They act more domineeringly than ordinary pharmaceutical companies. What? Tokyo is considered inferior in the eyes of Europe and America. Therefore, It is very likely that people in the Umbrella Corporation's division will conduct some large-scale human experiments. That's just my guess, Lo nodded slightly and said. You're very smart, Ada Wong, your guess is also correct. The Tokyo branch does indeed plan to conduct some large-scale human experiments. But do you know how many people will be involved in these experiments? Ada Wong shook her head. You can guess, Ro said. Ada Wong hesitated for a moment before saying, it could be several thousand or even tens of thousands. No, they're from the same country, Ro said. Ada Wong let out a ha-has. Looking at Ro with a puzzled expression, Luo Wei said, the Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch plans to release a virus that, if it breaks out, could potentially affect the entire country of Japan, causing hundreds of millions of deaths. Ada Wong's expression changed drastically, and she blurted out, impossibly, absolutely impossible. Oh, why the Umbrella Corporation isn't stupid. If this matter is exposed, they will definitely become the target of public condemnation, and their hands and humanity will be sent to the guillotine. Ada Wong said, human society will never allow such a madman to exist. No matter how powerful the Umbrella Corporation is, it will be completely wiped out and no one will escape. What if Umbrella Corporation has powerful backers? Lo said, no one can do it, no one can bear such consequences. What if it's a demon? Ro continued to ask. Ada Wong was stunned again. What did demon mean? Was it a metaphor or? It's a real demon, a demon from mythology, Ro said. Does that kind of thing really exist? Ada Wong found it hard to believe. Although the world was indeed chaotic, the gods and demons seemed too fake. Luo Wei calmly said, it exists. Not only does it exist, but it's right behind the Umbrella Corporation. The top management of the Umbrella Corporation has completely sided with the devil and plans to use the virus to destroy humanity. Neon lights are their testing ground. Ada Wong opened her mouth as if to say something, but no sound came out. She shook her head vigorously, refusing to believe what Luo Wei said, because it was too absurd and too contrary to common sense. What demons, what destruction of humanity? It was just one person's opinion, and Ada Wong preferred to believe that it was Loi's imagination, rather than realities. Otherwise, that would be far too terrible. I don't believe what you're saying, Luo Wei laughed and said. I didn't expect you to believe me anyway. Ada Wong was taken aback. What did that mean? I don't expect you to believe me. Yet you're asking me these questions. Is this really about me? Just as Ada Wong was getting annoyed, Lo continued. The reason I'm telling you all this is to see if you know anything about this, or if you're just putting on an act for me. But so far, I haven't seen any flaws in your story. So I believe you were completely unaware of this. Congratulations, Aunt Wang, you've survived. Ada Wong was dumbfounded, and at the same time felt a chill of fear. This guy was actually testing her. That's incredibly insidious, fortunately. She was a spy with strong mental fortitude, and quickly suppressed her inner turmoil, asking, so, what do you plan to do to me next? Ro said, I plan to turn you to my side, Ada Wong. Is this something that can be said openly? Lo snapped his fingers, freeing Ada Wong from her restraints and restoring her freedom. Ada Wong stretched her stiff body and Lo said, whether you believe it or not, what I just said is true. There are demons behind Umbrellas, planning to destroy humanity, so I want you to go back to Umbrella Corporation headquarters and investigate the situation there. Don't investigate the demons, because others have already started to act. All you need to do is investigate how many viruses are behind the Umbrella Corporation. I wonder if you would accept this proposal. Without hesitation, Ada Wong replied, can I refuse? Of course, Luo Wei said, really? She didn't believe that Ro would be so kind, Luo Wei said. I'm a man of my word, but because you know too much, I can only keep you at the Tokyo branch, putting a shackle on you so you can't leave Tokyo. Ada Wong suddenly realized, you're going to imprison me. I knew you weren't that kind. Medea couldn't help but sneer upon hearing this. Little girl, given what you've done, Even if the boss killed you, know it wouldn't be too much. Imprisoning you in Tokyo is already letting you off easy. Ada Wong sneered, so I should thank your boss. You're welcome, it's what I should do, Luo Wei said zit. I wasn't praising you at all. Can't this guy understand human language? Of course, maybe they understand, but they just don't care. Ada Wong was at her wit's end with this stubborn opponent who was impossible to defeat. These kinds of people are really hard to deal with. But she doesn't want to be imprisoned in Tokyo. Is she really going Tobal? Ada Wong doesn't actually mind betraying her country. After all, she was a spy herself and had a flexible moral bottom line. If it benefits me, I don't mind switching sides. The problem is she doesn't trust Lowy. And the task Lowy asked her to do was very dangerous. He actually sent her to investigate the Umbrella Corporation. Did he really think Wesker was just a pushover? If this is exposed, my life will be in danger. Between imprisonment and life, Ada Wong would rather choose the latter after all. You have everything as long as you're alive. Death ends it all, seeing Ada Wong fall silent. Lo vaguely guessed what she was thinking and said, "If you're not willing to agree, then stay in Tokyo until you die after that." Lo had Blackwatch watch over Ada Wong and forbade her from leaving the shooting range club. She was also forbidden from making phone calls to anyone outside the family. Seeing this, Medea said lightly, "Why bother with all this trouble, boss? Since you're unwilling to lay a hand on her, why not leave it to me? I'll show her what it means to be humiliated." Luo Wei glanced back at Medi, who said, "Boss, you wouldn't refuse me even for such a small request, would you?" Luo Wei gave a wry smile. Medea was his magic teacher, and he really couldn't refuse her. Moreover, Medea was also thinking of herself. "All right, she's yours to take care of." Medea smiled slightly. "Leave it to me with confidence, boss." So Medea left with King Ida. About half an hour later, Medea returned with Ada Wong. Lo glanced at Ada Wong a few times. It seemed that Ada Wong had not suffered any inhuman abuse, and there was not a single wound on her skin. But her attitude underwent a complete 180-degree change. "I'm willing to help you investigate the Umbrella Corporation." Upon seeing Lowy, Ada Wong brought up the events of earlier, expressing her willingness to go through fire and water for Lowy. Even unto death, Lovey looked at Medea in surprise. "How did you do that?" He could tell that Ada Wong had not been brainwashed by Medea. But the change was extremely thorough. Moreover, the way Ada Wong looked at Medea carried a deep-seated fear. So he was very curious about what methods Medea had used to surround and control King Avo. When asked by Lovey, Medea put a finger to her lips and whispered, "That's a secret." Lovey looked at Medi, who was feigning mystery, and smiled nonchalantly. "Okay, it's a secret then, as long as Ada Wong can be used for my purposes." He wasn't the type to pester or pry, and instead gave Medea a thumbs up. "Well done. Thank you for the compliment, boss." After Ada Wong defected, Lo did not send her back immediately. Instead, he warmly invited Ada Wong and the Black Watch team back to Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch. The purpose of this was, of course, to mislead Wesker and the top executives of Umbrella Corporation. After a few days, Ada Wong's investigation is complete. She will naturally be recalled by Wesker to Umbrella Corporation headquarters. Then Ada Wong can begin her own actions. As for what they would find out at the Tokyo branch, Luo Wei had already prepared an answer. This answer was enough to dispel Umbrella Corporation's doubts about the Tokyo branch. In the blink of an eye, several days have passed. The investigation by Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch is progressing smoothly. With Lowy's cooperation, Ada Wong quickly reported what she had found out to Wesker via video conference. "You guessed right. There really was a mole in the Tokyo branch. Who is it?" In the video, Wesker sits behind a red desk, guy's hands crossed, supporting his chin. A pair of eyes gleamed with a cold light. Ada Wong said. A researcher named Robert was turned and revealed Umbrella Corporation's secret plans, which caused the operation to be hindered. Robert. Wesker thought carefully for a moment. But it seemed he didn't remember this person, after all. There were just too many researchers at Umbrella Corporation, and he couldn't possibly remember them all. Bring him back, I want to interrogate him myself. Okay. Ada Wong nodded. Just then Wesker suddenly asked, "You've been in Tokyo for a few days. What are your impressions of Alan, the CEO of the Tokyo branch?" Ada Wong said, "Just a sophisticated egoist." Zero Flowers requested zero. Wesker asked, "So, what do you think this has to do with Alan?" Ada Wong raised an eyebrow. "You think Alan betrayed the company?" "It's not a betrayal," Wesker said. "I suspect this guy might be up to something behind the scenes." Ada Wong asked, "Then should I stay here and investigate for a few more days?" Wesker fell silent, seemingly deep in thought. After a while shook his head and said, "No need. Just bring that guy named Robert back first." "Okay, I'll go back tomorrow." Wesker hummed in agreement and then cut off the contact. After the video conference ended, Lowe's figure appeared out of thin air in front of Ada Wong. "Be careful on your way back." Ada Wong smiled and said, "I will, boss." So the next day, Ada Wong led the Blackwatch team away from the Tokyo branch. Lowe originally thought this matter would be over, but he underestimated Wesker's caution, because that very evening he received a call from the real Alan. "Boss, someone is secretly investigating me." Although the CEO of Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch was replaced by Luo Wei and even relegated to cleaning toilets, his circumstances plummeted. But he was ultimately brainwashed by Luo Wei and remained loyal to him. "Whenever something happens, the first person I contact is Luo Wei." Upon hearing that Alan was being investigated, Luo immediately became curious who was investigating this CEO. So he sent Medea a message asking her to investigate. "No problem, boss." After receiving the message from Lovey, Medea immediately began her investigation. Before long, they rounded up all the people investigating Alan and brought them before Ro. The people secretly investigating Eren were all ordinary people, considered elites among humans, but in front of Medea, they were like a group of toddlers learning to walk. They weren't even a threat. Medea easily wiped them all out. Without holding back, Luo Wei used his powerful mental abilities to read the memories of the group investigating Alan. As a result, we discovered something very interesting. Do it. Someone paid them $1 million to investigate Alan. But they didn't know exactly who it was. Because these people are paid to do things, someone deposited the investigation targets and high commissions into their accounts, hiring them to investigate all of Alan's suspicious activities. Then the findings were sent to a secret email address. Lowe didn't know who owned the secret mailbox, but his first suspect was Wesker. Wesker had already begun to suspect Alan, to be precise. It was Lowe Wei disguised as Alan, who suspected him of doing some underhanded things. Therefore, it is perfectly reasonable to have someone investigate Alan. The reason for not using Ada Wong for the investigation was twofold. Firstly, to prevent Ada Wong from accessing the Umbrella Corporation's true 843 secrets. And second, because Ada Wong was too conspicuous, and having her investigate Alan might arouse Alan's suspicion. Therefore, he eventually recalled Ada Wong and secretly sent people to investigate Eren. Of course, Lowe had no evidence to prove that his guess was correct, but he trusted his instincts. Since we can't play with science, let's play with metaphysics. Lo Wei then performed a divination on his thoughts, and the result proved that Lo Wei's guess was largely correct. This was done by weeks. Well done, Wesker. I never expected him to have such a trick up his sleeve. After thinking for a moment, Luo Wei deleted the memories related to the group's capture and himself, and released them to continue investigating Alan. Then let Alan continue living his previous life, as if nothing had happened. Believing this is enough to fool Wesker. After all that happened last night, Lovey took some time to visit Q Academy and inquire with Riaz about the progress of the investigation into Surzets and Seraph. Riaz says she can't contact her brother right now, but she believes that with his strength, he should be able to find out the demon behind Umbrella soon. I will let you know as soon as my brother's investigation is over. Then I'll have to trouble you. Lovey smiled slightly at Riaz, acknowledging her attempt to curry favor. Riaz suddenly said, actually, there's something I'm very curious about. What? Lovey looked up at Riaz. Riaz said, my brother said you are very strong. No less than our demon king, but why have I never heard of you? In recent days, she has investigated all the powerful people in the human world who have names and surnames. They even investigated the powerful figures of the past. But they never found Luo Wei's whereabouts. It was as if Luo Wei had popped out of a crack in the rock, which was very incredible. So today, taking this opportunity, Riaz asked the question that had been on her mind. Luo Wei smiled and said, is it possible that I'm just not from this world? Riaz wasn't surprised. In fact, she had an expression that said, I knew it. It seems you've already guessed it, Luo Wei said. Riaz nodded. I did have that thought, but it was just a thought. I didn't expect that Yausarir actually not from our world. But you don't seem surprised at all. Lovey said, it's as if you've already seen someone like me. Riaz nodded and said, what you said is absolutely right. In fact, I have met someone similar to you. Also from another world. No, to be precise, he is the demon king of another world. A demon lord from another world. Hearing this, Luo Wei became interested. What kind of person was he? Riaz said his name is Satan Jacob. He is a demon king from the other world of Ander Isla. He once attempted to conquer the world, but ultimately lost to the hero Emilia. On the advice of his subordinates, he crossed the world and came to Japan. An attempt to re-establish their territory centered on Japan. However, after we demons discovered it, we brought it to the demon realms, and it is currently a guest there. Upon hearing this, Lovey immediately knew who the demon king Riaz was referring to was. Isn't he just the main character from The Devil is a Part-Timer? Oh right, Sadel Mao is his earth name. His real name, as Riaz said, is Satan Jacob. How should I put it? This name is definitely something to complain about. Everyone knows what Satan means, so I won't go into details. But the name Jacob is worth pondering, because this name is recorded in the Bible. Moreover, there are two Jacobs in the Bible. One was the son of Zebedee and the brother of the Apostle John. He was then known as James the Greater. About 17 years after his first encounter with the Lord, this silent apostle became a leader of the church. The Bible records, King Herod laid a hand on some of the church and killed James the brother of John with the sword. Jacob became the first apostle to be martyred. Legend has it that before his martyrdom, those who had given false testimony to harm him saw him filled with joy, like a triumphant hero without any fear. They were convinced that the true God Christ would be with him, and they even moved a judge to die with him. Another one is James, one of Jesus' 12 disciples. He was the first bishop of Jerusalem, and he was also martyred there. This demonstrates the uniqueness of the name Jacob. A Satan whose name is Jacob. Isn't this something to criticize and ponder? But if you know about the life of Satan Jacob, you will find that it is not surprising that he chose this name. Because Satan Jacob was not born a demon king. When he was young, he was a weak demon who had just grown up. His race was wiped out by a demon with brute force, and he was on the verge of death. Because he shed tears of resentment, an archangel who happened to pass by took notice of him, healed his wounds and taught him knowledge. Satan thus learned of the existence of the human world. Before leaving, the archangel gave him a purple crystal and called him the great demon king Satan, instructing him to plant the crystal and nurture it. Over the next 200 years, Satan used the knowledge he gained and the ability to absorb the magic of others to grow stronger, unifying the chaotic demon realm that had once been rampaging and establishing a demon society ruled by power. However, the magic that allows demons to exist as demons originates from fear and despair. After the unification of the demon realms, peace has made these two emotions almost disappear, causing magic power to gradually decrease. The remaining magic power is only enough for all demons to survive for 500 years. So Satan turned his attention to humanity, to be honest. With Satan Jacob's power, conquering the human world of another world wouldn't be a problem at all. Humans are not actually a match for Satan Jacob. But the problem is that the human world is not just comprised of humans. They also have churches, and behind the churches are angels. And behind the angels are gods. It's like a nesting doll. It seems that if Satan Jacob wants to conquer the human world, all he needs to do is defeat humanity. However, in reality, he not only had to defeat humans but also angels and gods. Even gods in other worlds need faiths. And humans are the source of their faith, therefore. The gods of other worlds would never stand by and watch Satan conquer humanity. If Satan Jacob conquers the human world, who will provide them with faiths? Seeing that Satan Jacob was so ferocious, leaving them almost no way out, the gods made a unanimous decision: get him. And so a hero was born then. Satan Jacob failed and was defeated and forced to flee in a sorry state by the hero from the other world. Forced to leave his own world, unleashed his magic, opened the door to another world, and arrived in the neon lights of the present world. However, in the original storyline, Satan Jacob's neon is a world without magic. So after arriving in Japan, Satan Jacob was unable to regain his power and was eventually taken away by the police. He personally staged a scene where a tiger fallen into the plains is bullied by dogs, and a phoenix with its feathers plucked is no better than a chicken. In the end, this demon king from another world had no choice but to transform into Mao Sadao and work in human society, using his meager salary to make ends meet. This led to a series of hilarious situations. However, that's just the original storyline. Satan Jacob did not arrive at the magic-free world of the original story, but rather at this crossover world of countless bizarre and wonderful anime series. And in this world, there exists magic in the atmosphere. If Satan Jacob hadn't been discovered by the demons of this world and taken back to the demon realm, they might already be at war with humanity. With his abilities, he might actually be able to carve out a piece of the pie in Japan. After all, Satan Jacob's source is human fear and despair. As long as he causes even a little destruction, Satan's power will be endless, and it wouldn't be a problem for him to establish himself as king in Japan. After all, even the true progenitor of vampires could establish the Night Empire. Why can't Satan and Jacob? Do you really think that Satan Jacob isn't powerful? If you're not strong, how can others dominate the world of speech? This shows that unintentionalized devil did indeed save the human world. At this moment, Riaz was unaware of Lovey's inner thoughts and asked curiously, "What kind of world is Lord Lovey's? Why did you come to our world, does your excellency, like that demon king Satan, also desire to conquer this world?" Lovey looked up at Riaz, his words sounding less like curiosity and more like a probe. To test one's purpose in coming into this world. Was this a test from the devil or her own idea? Such a thought flashed through Luo Wei's mind. But he didn't take it to heart. Whether it's her own thoughts or a test from the devil behind her, Luo Wei didn't care. He said lightly, "I have no interest in conquering this world. My coming to this world was just a coincidence, however. Miss Ria seems so concerned about my purpose in coming here. Could it be that you want to conquer this world with me?" Riaz gave an awkward laugh. She had no interest in conquering the world after all. She was just a weak and pitiful high-ranking demon. With this level of strength, conquering the world is simply a pipe dream. Your Excellency Ro is joking. I have no such presumptuous thoughts. You didn't have that thought. Yet you're so concerned about me. Oh, I see. Luo Wei feigned sudden realization. It must be because he likes me that he pays so much attention to me. Right? Riaz was speechless, dumbfounded. How could this guy say something so outrageous? She'd only met him once, and today was their second meeting. How could she possibly like him? Luo Wei laughed heartily and said, "Judging from your current appearance, I knew I guessed right. That's understandable after all. Someone as outstanding as me does attract attention. Just as Riaz was about to interrupt Lovey to defend herself, Lovey shut her down with a single sentence, I know. I know that a shy girl like you is too embarrassed to say it. But I can give you a chance to pursue me, *0544. Just then Aquino Haimjamaho was standing behind Riaz. Suddenly chuckled. Riaz paused for a moment, then immediately realized what was happening when she saw the smile that flashed in Lovey's eyes. I've been tricked. This is what it means to be confused when you're involved, but clear-headed when you're an observer, as an observer. Haimjama Aquino saw it clearly. Lovey's words just now were just teasing Riaz. Riaz, who was caught up in the situation, didn't realize it and was left bewildered by the amusement. This is so interesting, Junai. Riaz was furious and glared angrily at her queen. She felt she had been made a fool offhand instead of helping her. Haimjama Aquino mocked her. That's absolutely awful. 263. I'm sorry, Riaz. I just found Riaz's bewilderment amusing. Please forgive me. Haimjama Aquino clasped her hands together and squinted one eye as she begged Riaz for forgiveness. Riaz shook her head with a wry smile. I really can't do anything with you, ultimately. Haimjama Aquino was her empress and her kin. What could she do but continue to pamper hers then? With a stern face said, Lord Lovey, is it fun to tease me? Indeed, Luo Wei nodded in deep agreement. He was an honest man by nature and could not lie. *04044. After the brief incident, Lovey did not get up to leave, but instead planned to exchange some magic information with Riaz. Of course, humans call this kind of thing magic, but demons call it magic. What else could the spells they use be but magic, however? Whether it's magic or sorcery, it all boils down to one consciousness. Riaz, as a demon of the Gremory family, is knowledgeable and proficient in many kinds of magic. Lovey, on the other hand, is a disciple of Medea, who in turn is a disciple of Hecate, goddess of magic, and is equally knowledgeable. The two of them exchanged ideas, each finding something of value. Lovey quickly mastered a series of spells, including teleportation magic, summoning magic, and annihilation magic. This further enriched my knowledge base, of course. Riaz also gained a lot, and both sides were extremely satisfied with this exchange. After returning from Kuo Academy, Ro resumed his daily life. I go to school and leave school on time every day. I had a great experience of student life. How should I put it? I still miss that kind of life, after all. I never had the chance to go to and from school every day after graduating from school in my previous life. After working for a long time, one naturally begins to miss the life of a student. But experience is experience. And it didn't make Luo Weiwei stay in a school for 3 years. Every day without fail I go to school, leave school, attend classes and finish class. Lo Wei still refused. The reason is simple. He has already been through the rough and tumble of society, and his heart has become wild. A mere school simply cannot contain Luo Wei now, therefore. After being a good student for a few days, Luo Wei, feeling a bit bored, skipped class again. Well, it can't really be considered skipping class. After all, he had his clone attend classes in his place. So from the school's perspective, Luo Wei's attendance rate was the same as other students, with no difference whatsoever. But Luo Wei himself became a follower, his main purpose being to see what else he didn't know about this supersode world. So in broad daylight, Luo Wei wandered around Tokyo alone. Not long after, he actually made a new discovery. One day, while strolling around Shinjuku, Lo Wei suddenly discovered a coffee shop. Coffee shops are normal after all. Japanese people love coffee and are a veritable coffee superpower, ranking among the top in the world. Their fondness for coffee is related to the Meiji Restoration in the 1960s. At that time, Japan's pursuit of complete westernization and modernization became particularly fervent. Milk, bread, wine, whiskey, a wide variety of foods entered the Japanese diet, bringing about a dramatic change in their eating habits. Many well-known dishes in contemporary Japanese cuisine, such as sushi ramen and sukiyaki, originated in that period. Originating in the West, coffee was synonymous with high-class beverage at the time, and coffee shops were a favorite haunt of literati and artists. What may have started as a trendy activity can gradually become a habit and something natural. Coffee shops and coffee culture then subtly permeate the lives of ordinary people. Therefore, coffee shops are practically everywhere in Japan. As long as the food doesn't taste bad, you can basically make a living. That's why Lo Wei said it's normal for there to be coffee shops in Shinjuku. And there's more than one, however. This coffee shop is different from other coffee shops, because the name of this coffee shop is Cat's Eye Coffee Shop. Good heavens. Isn't this the coffee shop run by the Cat's Eye sisters? Luo Wei pushed open the door and walked in. Behind the coffee shop counter stood a mature and charming older woman who gave Luo Wei an elegant smile and said something. Welcome. Ro walked over and sat at the bar. Give me a cappuccino. The mature and charming older woman nodded and went to the coffee machine to get busy. A cappuccino was served shortly afterward. It also has beautiful latte art patterns on it. Luo Wei took a sci-fi's eyes lighting up slightly and said, "It tastes good just the way I like it." The mature and charming older sister smiled slightly and said, "I'm glad the guest likes it." Luo Wei asked, "What's your name, miss?" The mature and alluring older woman glanced at Luo Wei with a half-smile and slowly said, "Why is the guest asking this? Do you perhaps want to pursue me? You could say that." Luo Wei said, unsure whether to agree or disagree, however. The other party chuckled and shook his head, saying, "Unfortunately, I have no interest in a child like you." "It is indeed a pity," Luo Wei nodded in deep agreement, and then said, "But it doesn't matter. As long as I am interested in you, miss." The mature and charming older sister shook her head slightly and said in a lecturing tone, "Being persistent and clingy is not a way to pursue girls. It will only make them disgusted." Luo Wei shook his head. "Miss, you've misunderstood. The hobby I'm talking about isn't what you think. Have you ever collected figurines?" The mature and charming older sister was taken aback. Luo Wei continued, "If you've ever collected figurines, wouldn't you want to collect any you liked?" Upon hearing Luo Wei's words, the mature and charming older sister frowned, and her tone became somewhat cold. "Humans are not figurines, I know." Lo Wei frankly admitted humans are indeed not figurines. "But I can't help it. I still have a little bit of a collecting habit. When I come across a character I like, I want to collect them. Miss Lei Shenglei, I wonder if you would be willing to grant my wish." The mature and charming eldest sister is naturally Rui Kasaki, one of the Cat's Eye sisters. Lo Wei recognized her at first glance. There's no way around it. This one is also one of Lo Wei's childhood goddesses. Just like Ada Wang, Lai Shenglei instantly became alert. Suppressing her urge to attack, Luo Weian questioned, "Who exactly are you?" "Just an ordinary dimensional demon god." Luo Wei said truthfully, "Dimensional demon god." Lai Shenglei was a little confused. She recognized each of the individual characters, but she couldn't understand them when they were put together. "You can think of me as a god," said Lo He. Lai Shengrui gave me a "are you kidding me" look. She never expected that Luo Wei would dare to claim himself a god. Is this some kind of new type of scam at first? She thought Luo Wei was some mysterious figure. But now it seems that Wei is just a lunatic. In an instant, Lai Shenglei's tense body relaxed. "Guest, you're not welcome here. This coffee is on me, please leave." By Zhao. Lai Shenglei didn't hesitate to issue an order to leave. Luo Wei sighed, "Miss Lai Shenglei, do you know what you've missed? You've missed immortality and eternal youth." In the end, Wei even seemed heartbroken. Instead of feeling sorry, Lai Shenglei wanted to laugh. This guy was too narcissistic. Unmoved, she continued, "Guest, please clean it up." Luo Wei chuckled and was about to get up when the coffee shop door seemed to be pushed open again. A hot, long-haired beauty walked in. "Sister, I'm back." His voice was weak and listless, and he seemed somewhat frustrated. Luo Wei turned around and saw that the person was none other than Lai Shengrui's younger sister. Lai Shengtong, who was also the second oldest of the three Lai Sheng sisters. The real person is even more beautiful than the comic book version. Upon seeing this, Luo Wei couldn't help but admire Hojo Tsukasa's talent for painting beautiful women. "Oh, we have a guest," when Hitomi saw Luo Wei. She subconsciously smiled, but the smile seemed somewhat forced. Rui Kisugi naturally noticed Hitomi Kisugi's unusual behavior and hurriedly came out from behind the bar. "Zayoatong, are you all right?" "I'm fine." Hitomi Kisugi shook her head. "I'm just feeling a little down. What exactly happened?" Lai Sheng Rui remembered that Lai Sheng Tong was happy when she left. So how did she become like this when she came back? Not wanting her older sister to worry, Hitomi Kisugi explained the reason. "Actually, I was quite happy today. But on my way back I encountered a cat that had been run over by a truck. Although I have buried the cat, I don't know why. But I still feel very down and can't be happy at all." Upon hearing this, Lai Sheng Lei breathed a sigh of relief. She had thought it was something serious. "Oh, it's just a kitten. Zayatung, you've always been kind-hearted. It's normal to be upset when something like this happens. But this isn't your fault. You've already buried the kitten and done what you could. Don't be discouraged by this, cheer up, it's okay. You're mistaken about that." Ro couldn't help but interject after hearing the two sisters' conversation. "This isn't just nothing, it's a big deal." Both Lai Sheng Lei and Lai Sheng Tong looked at Luo Wei at the same time. Hitomi couldn't help but ask, "Guessed, what do you mean by that?" Lai Sheng Lei said, "Ignore him, Zio Tongthai's guy is crazy." Elder sister Hitomi was incredulous. Her usually kind older sister had called the guest a madman. What had this guest done to make her sister hate him so much? Luo Wei ignored Lai Shengrui's words and turned to Lai Shengtong, saying, "If I'm not mistaken, you should have encountered the barrier cat." "Miss Lai Shengtong, a cat with a barrier, what's that?" "A strange tail, a silver-white cat. A low-class weirdo that preys on the loopholes in people's conscience and compassion." Luo Wei recalled the knowledge from Bakemonogatari and slowly said, "The cat will pretend to be run over by a car on the road, possess the human who buries it out of pity, and cause his personality to change suddenly. It is an ungrateful oddity, the opposite of the lucky cat. It's not that cats transform into humans, but rather that humans become cats, having the ability to absorb energy. Any human who comes into contact with that monster, ACFB, will have their physical strength and energy completely drained, which can even lead to deaths. The energy absorption of the disabled cat is a permanent ability that is based on direct contact, so it is unrelated to the cat's own will. If I'm not mistaken, you are now possessed by the demon cat." Hearing Luo Wei's seemingly serious words, Lai Shengtong's face turned deathly pale. After all, even vampires exist in this world. It's only natural that it's strange. Ordinary people rarely encounter such beings. But they know very well that such beings are not lies, but real. That's why Hitomi Kisugi is so afraid. On the contrary, Lai Shengrui, because of her bad impression of Luo Wei, was very suspicious of what Luo Wei had just said, and thought that Luo Wei was probably exaggerating. But since it concerned her younger sister's life, she dared not make a hasty conclusion. For a moment, I was unusually conflicted. As for Hitomi Leisheng herself, she was not very clear about the conversation between Luo Wei and Rui Leisheng. She did not have much ill feelings towards Luo Wei and subconsciously believed that Luo Wei would not deceive her. After all, the two people had no grudges against each other, so the other party had no reason to fabricate such a story. And then she suddenly remembered that she had indeed been buried without a tail. More importantly, she had only told her sister that she had buried a cat, without mentioning that the cat didn't have a tail. This further convinced her that Lo had not deceived her. "Guest, am I really possessed by the demon cat?" Hitomi Leisheng stepped forward and asked cautiously. Luo Wei glanced at Lai Shengtong and confirmed that the other party was indeed possessed. Because Hitomi Kisugi possesses an aura that does not belong to humans. "That's right, you are indeed possessed." "Then what should I do?" Lai Shengtong panicked immediately. She was still young and didn't want to die. Luo Wei waved his hand and said, "It's nothing serious. In the end, the barrier cat is just a low-level anomaly. Don't worry too much, you're not Hinkawa Tsubasa." Who is Hinkawa Tsubasa? Even though it concerned her own life, Hitomi couldn't help but ask, after all. She was a beautiful woman, and it was inevitable that she would feel a little resentful when she was suddenly told that she was not as good as someone else. Like you. She's also an unlucky soul possessed by a demon cat, however. This guy's head is full of strange and wonderful knowledge, which caused the demon cat possessing her body to instantly become several levels stronger after absorbing this knowledge. Luo Wei offered an explanation, then said to Lai Shengtong, "You're different from her. You don't have that much strange knowledge in your mind. So the barrier cat won't become stronger, of course. It doesn't matter if I get stronger, because I'm still no match for them." Lai Shengtong sensed the confidence in Luo Wei's words and couldn't help but scrutinize him carefully for a few moments. "What do you do, sir? Are you perhaps an onmyoji?" "No. On the surface, he's a student. But his true identity is a god who is currently saving the world." Hitomi Lai was completely bewildered. Now she finally understood why her sister had said that the guy in front of her was a madman. Because what he said was indeed crazy. People easily mistake him for a madman at this moment. Even Lai Shengtong began to doubt whether the guy in front of her was mentally unstable and that everything he said was just his imagination. An attempt to deceive her, however, the next second. Hitomi Kisugi dismissed the idea, because the cat she buried really did not have a tail, which is irrefutable evidence, this deity. Lai Shengtong clasped her hands together and said to Luo Wei, "Please have mercy and save me." Luo Wei nodded, "Okay, but..." However, at that moment, Irina Nakiri suddenly sent him a message, "Lord Lovey, I have entered the gourmet secret realm once again." Upon receiving this message, Luo Wei was both surprised and delighted. The gourmet secret realm had appeared, no. It was Irina Nakiri who had entered the gourmet secret realm once again. This was a good thing, he immediately replied, "Okay. You wait here, I'll be right there." After saying that, Luo Wei looked down at Lai Shengtong and said, "Your matter is not urgent. I need to deal with my believer's affairs first. We can talk again next time." As soon as he finished speaking, Luo Wei cast a teleportation spell and vanished from the sight of the two sisters. Hitomi Kisugi, tears of the next life. Previous next after casting the teleportation spell, Lovey vanished from the spot without immediately arriving at Irina Nakiri's side. Instead, it entered its own dimension of light. The reason he came here was because Irina Nakiri was a bit far away from him. Lovey had to use the light dimension as a springboard to track down Irina Nakiri, then make a spatial jump, and finally arrive at Irina Nakiri's side. That is, inside the secret food paradise. When Luo Wei entered the culinary secret realms, he found that Irina Nakiri's description of the place was quite apt. This is indeed a secret place, rather than a complete world. "Lord Lo, you've arrived." Irina Nakiri breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Lovey appear. Lovey nodded to Irina Nakiri, then looked around at the surroundings. It was an island, where all sorts of strange and wonderful foods were grown. For example, a bracken that grows on trees, grass that tastes like spaghetti, chocolate-flavored mushrooms, marshmallow-flavored mushroom salmon, cabbage, and so on. Besides these plants, there are also all sorts of strange and wonderful animals. Giant rabbit spigs made entirely of streaky pork, fish with enormous pincers, and giant eagles with 5 tails that use their sharp beaks and claws to catch prey, etc. This island is very large, even larger than Hokkaido. Even so, compared to the entire secret realm, it is still insignificant. Wait here for me. After saying something to Irina Nakiri, Luo Wei soared into the sky, instantly reaching a height of several thousand meters. Then looked down over the entire secret realm. To Luo Wei's surprise, this secret realm was vast, far beyond his imagination. It's even bigger than the Earth. That's incredible. It's a secret realm bigger than Earth. And nobody would believe it if you told them. But the fact before him told Luo Wei that it was all true. Even Sothai's place remains a secret realm, not a complete world as a dimensional demon god. Luo Wei would never be wrong about anything. Ro used teleportation magic appearing in the desert. In the mountains and the plains and in the sea. In just over an hour, Ro's footprints were left all over the secret realm. Lo Wei also confirmed one thing. This secret realm is very likely the Earth from Toriko. However, it is not a complete Earth, it is the human realm. In the anime series Toriko, due to the influence of gourmet cells, Earth's size increased to more than 600 times its original size after billions of years of development of gourmet cells. And a gourmet planet with various powerful and delicious life forms emerged. This planet is divided into two regions, the human realm and the culinary realm. The human realm is the continent where humans live. And it is in an era of exploring and discovering delicious food. The culinary world is a continent yet to be explored and utilized by humankind, containing all sorts of miraculous ingredients. But it is also extremely dangerous, with only a handful of people having ever set foot there. The reason is simple. The highest grade ingredients in the human world are around level 100. In the culinary worlds, almost all ingredients are below level 100. And the 8 kings of the culinary world are all above level 6. Any monster could easily wipe out the human world. For example, Hercules Horse King is one of the 8 kings of the culinary world. It shares the same name as Hercules in Greek mythology. But it is a 4-horse steed. But this horse was astonishingly large, measuring 30 meters in length, about 22,000 meters in height, and weighing 2 trillion tons. How is this any different from the giants in mythology? Besides this terrifying reminder, Hercules Horse King also possesses formidable power. He can fight continuously for months with just one breath, and can penetrate the earth with the breath he exhales from his nostrils. In the original story, Hercules Horse King used his ultimate technique, Breath of Annihilation, to protect the child in his womb, sucking away the air for thousands of miles around, thus creating a vacuum field for the ultimate technique. Tokyo has a population of over 10 million and an area of approximately 2,000 square kilometers. In other words, if Ma Wang were to use his Breath of Annihilation even once in actual combat, he could turn Tokyo into a dead zone. This demonstrates the strength of the 8 kings of the culinary world. I've gone off on a tangent in short. Due to the nature of gourmet cells, the Earth's ability to capture the world of gourmets is terrifyingly strong. The 8 kings of the culinary world each occupy a continent. Therefore, the human realm occupies only a very small part of the Earth's land. But even this small piece of land is still bigger than Earth in the world of crossover anime. And this surprised Luo Wei somewhat, because this crossover world incorporates a large number of anime series. The Earth in this world has expanded in size, becoming at least larger than the Earth before Luo Wei's transmigration. Even so, it still can't compare to the culinary paradise right before our eyes. That's outrageous to this. All Luo Wei can say is that the world of gourmet delight is simply too vast. More than 600 times, it's simply beyond imagination. After wandering around the gourmet secret realms, Lo Wei returned to Irina Nakiri's side. Lord Lo, have you discovered any other humans? Irina Nakiri immediately asked. No, Luo Wei sighed. He had just explored the entire gourmet secret realm and seen many living things. But he hadn't seen any humans. Irina Nakiri couldn't help but sigh. She had entered the gourmet secret realm several times already. We did not see any other humans, so she already had a similar idea in mind. And Luo Wei's answer only confirmed her guess. This is a secret place with only delicious food. But no, peoples. Lord Lovey, what exactly is this secret realm all about? Irina Nakiri asked curiously. She had only a vague understanding of this secret realm. Asking Luo Wei now is to hope that Luo Wei will give me an accurate answer. After all, Luo Wei is a dimensional demon god, and he stands at a different level than her. There are some things she doesn't understand. But that doesn't mean Luo Wei doesn't understand. Luo Wei said, I'm not quite sure either. But I'll know once I've absorbed this secret realm. Swallow Irina Nakiri was taken aback. That's right. Luo Wei laughed. This culinary secret realm is an unclaimed hidden place. And in Luo Wei's eyes it's like a tempting delicacy. Luo Wei was already eager to devour this secret realm. The next second Luo Wei released a powerful force of light, summoning a huge vortex. This vortex unleashed a powerful devouring force. It begins to devour the entire gourmet paradise. The island in front of them was the first to be affected. But in a short while, it was swallowed up and entered Luo Wei's dimension of light. Then the vortex continued to expand, beginning to devour other territories within the gourmet realm. In the blink of an eye, 2 days have passed. Through Luo Wei's tireless efforts, the entire gourmet secret realm was devoured by Luo Wei and entered his own dimension of light. The dimension of light instantly increased several times over. This also led to a significant increase in Luo Wei's strength. If Luo Wei's power of light was 100 million before, then now his power of light is at least 300 million. It doubled. This is the benefit of devouring the gourmet secret realm, and also the method by which dimensional demons become stronger. How can a dimensional demon become stronger? The answer is simple: devour other dimensions, therefore. In the Marvel universe, many dimensional lords are eyeing Earth, especially Dormammu, Lord of the Dark Dimension, who covets Earth the most. If it weren't for the protection of the Ancient One, Doctor Strange and others, Dormammu had already devoured Earth in 67. Earth was once home to several ancient gods and is the origin of life. Even Dormammu was once an Earthling, which is why he is so obsessed with Earth. They want to completely devour the Earths. Luo Wei could actually devour Earth from various anime worlds to strengthen himself. The problem is that this world's Earth is stitched together with a whole bunch of things. And the water is really too deep. Luo Wei dares not easily confront it, for fear of provoking everyone's reaction. There might even be a big shot who jumps out and teaches you a lesson, therefore after becoming a dimensional demon god. Luo Wei's strength has not changed, but this time, the appearance of the culinary secret realm allowed Luo Wei to eat his fill. After devouring the secret realm of nothingness, Luo Wei's strength not only increased dramatically, but even the dimension of light expanded several times over. This can be described as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. All of this was brought to Luo Wei by Irina Nakiri. So Luo Wei was generous with his reward and gave Irina Nakiri a large amount of light power. Irina Nakiri's power of light suddenly surged to 100. 0 points. That sounds like a lot. But compared to what Lo gained, it was insignificant. It wasn't that Lo Wei was stingy and didn't want to give Nakiri Irina even greater power, but rather that he was afraid Nakiri Irina wouldn't be able to control such a powerful force. One careless move could easily lead to tragedy. So it simply increased Irina Nakiri's strength tenfold from its original level. If it gets too much, Irina Nakiri might really lose control. 10 times just right after devouring the gourmet realm, Lovey and Irina Nakiri entered Lovey's light dimension cause. At this point, the dimension of light resembled an empty stool. There are high mountains, flowing water, deserts, lakes, the Seagrassland sand, so on. It is more complete than the one built by Ro before. More importantly, within the dimension of light, besides love, there is finally life, all kinds of life. So the dimension of light no longer looks as monotonous as before. Instead, it was full of vitality. In addition, all the food in the gourmet secret realm was completely transplanted by Luo Wei into his own dimension of light. Luo Wei raised his hand and grabbed an apple with a face out of thin air, which appeared in his hand. Try it. Luo Wei casually handed the apple to Nakiri Irina. What is this? Irina Nakiri was a little horrified when she saw that there was a face growing on the apple. Luo Wei said, this thing is called a fright apple. The higher the level of fright, the more delicious the flesh. I just added an illusion to this apple, so it should taste pretty good. Irina Nakiri was dumbfounded. She couldn't believe such a thing existed in the gourmet secret realm. This is a bit too outrageous, isn't it, however? She still decided to believe Luo Wei's words. Looked at the frightened apple trembling with fear. Closed her eyes and took a bite. In an instant, an unprecedented flavor filled my mouth. It tastes like apples, but it was sweeter, juicier, and much tastier than any apple she had ever eaten before. Irina Nakiri had never eaten such delicious food before. After eating the apples, Irina Nakiri's gourmet cells began to evolve, causing her to swell uncontrollably in an instant. She transformed from a beautiful young woman with a slender figure into a muscular woman with bulging muscles. The sudden turn of events startled Irina Nakiri, causing her to scream, 014703102 Feilu 111,021,511. This physique is outrageous. Even the world bodybuilding champion would be ashamed of himself standing in front of Irina Nakiri. The problem is she's just a pretty girl who can cook. She doesn't want these ridiculous muscles at all. Lord Luo Wei, don't worry, it's only temporary. Luo Wei reassured Nakiri Irina. You just ate a high-level fried apple, and your gourmet cells evolved. These muscles are a side effect of overnutrition. It should return to normal in a few days. Irina Nakiri breathed a long sigh of relief upon hearing that it was temporary. But her brows furrowed in worry when she learned that it would take several days to recover. Am I supposed to wait several days before I can see anyone? That's been way too long. Seeing this, Luo Wei sighed and said, You can use the power of light to stimulate your body and accelerate the absorption of nutrients. Irina Nakiri clapped her hands in sudden realization. Oh right. She had almost forgotten that there was such a method. Irina Nakiri then mobilized the power of light to strengthen her body. Her muscles, which would put bodybuilding champions to shame, quickly disappeared, and she soon returned to being that beautiful young woman with a graceful figure. No, not the same as before, but her figure is even better now. Her chest has visibly grown larger, and her hips are also firmer. Lo suspected that Irina Nakiri did it on purpose. But he had no evidence, but this is their private matter. And Luo Wei was too embarrassed to interfere. More importantly, Irina Nakiri's figure has improved, and he might feel more comfortable squeezing her in the future. So Luo Wei simply shut his mouth and pretended not to have seen 1. Now I can tell you the origin of the secret culinary realm. Irina Nakiri was taken aback and asked, Does Lord Levy already know? Luo Wei nodded. After devouring the gourmet realm, I know it inside and out. And naturally, I also know its origin. Irina Nakiri stared intently at Luo Wei, her ears perked up, ready to listen attentively. The gourmet realm is actually a fragment of a world. Luo Wei said. His words startled Irina Nakiri. Are there really so many origins for these hidden culinary gems? Luo Wei continued. Everything in the world dies eventually. Humans will die. Demons will die on this planet beneath our feet. And the sun above our heads will die. Even the universe itself will die. What Lo said was not complicated at all for Irina Nakiri. Irina Nakiri is, after all, a modern person who has received scientific education. Of course, she knows that the sun will become a white dwarf after it dies, and that the universe will one day go to extinction due to the increase of entropy. These are all scientific. The problem is that this process is far too long. These are usually conducted over a period of billions or even tens of billions of years. Compared to such a long period of time, humanity is insignificant. And even the gods are probably no different. Luo Wei continued. The universe will die. And the world will die even more. It's just that the ways of dying are different. Some worlds die along with the universe, but some worlds die due to the intervention of external forces, such as cosmic explosions, planetary collisions, world-destroying spells, and so on. The world of culinary secrets is formed because of the death of external things. As for what the external object was, the gourmet secret realm did not record it in detail, because he died suddenly one day, and his body was torn to pieces and scattered all over the ground. One of the world fragments, which is the culinary secret realm you entered, is attracted by the present-day Earth and is gradually moving closer to it. If nothing unexpected happens, this fragment of the two world will collide with Earth several hundred years from now. Nobody knows what kind of world will be like then. Perhaps the two will merge together. Or perhaps they will perish together, it's all uncertain. Out of self-preservation, the gourmet secret realm has pulled you into it, wanting you to grow up as quickly as possible and stop all of this from happening. Hearing this, Irina Nakiri asked curiously Lord Lovey, "Does the world also have consciousness?" "Of course." Luo Wei nodded frankly. "Humans have the restraining force Alea. Earth has the restraining force Gaia. So why shouldn't the world have consciousness?" That's such a discriminatory statement, however. The gourmet secret realm is ultimately a fragment of a world. Its world consciousness nearly destroyed, leaving only some instincts. That's why I chose you. If the world's consciousness still had the ability to think, it would never have chosen Irina Nakiri. Even if Irina Nakiri is incredibly powerful, she is ultimately just an ordinary person. Choosing a deity like the god of cookery or the god of the kitchen will make it easier to be saved. Unfortunately, it was ultimately driven by instinct, which is why it got free money from Irina Nakiri. Irina Nakiri felt like she was being subtly looked down upon, but she had no evidence. Fortunately, she didn't dwell on this point any longer. Instead, she asked Lord Luo Wei, "May I now bring this food back to the real world?" "Of course you can," Luo Wei nodded with a smile. "The gourmet secret realm is already mine. You can take any food you want." As he spoke, he snapped his fingers. A huge pile of food was suddenly transferred by Luo Wei and appeared out of thin air in front of Nakiri Irina. Pine nut corn cream mushrooms chocolate mushrooms bacon. Whale tongue flour macaroni bamboo fruit pesta grass. Tiger pufferfish bone in corn strawberry rice. Leader chestnut diamond crab lobster fish and so on. Hundreds of dishes were presented to Irina Nakiri. Each one weighs over 100 pounds. But these foods are nothing compared to the food in the gourmet secret realm. You can take all of these back with you. Irina Nakiri certainly couldn't carry that much food by herself. So all the pigs were placed on the platform built by Wei. A time constant feature has been added there. So food placed there will not spoil no matter how much time has passed. It is perfect for use as a refrigerator, furthermore. Irina Nakiri has her own room on the platform, which is perfect for storing these delicacies. These ingredients can be taken out whenever needed, which is quite convenient. After delivering the food to her room, Irina Nakiri immediately invited the academy. She was going to use these ingredients to cook a sumptuous meal for Luo Wei. Luo Wei readily agreed, however. On his way to Tatsuki Academy, he felt as if he had forgotten something. On the other hand, Cat's Eye Coffee Shop, the second of the three Kisugi sisters, Kisugi Hitomi, lay sprawled on the table like a lazy cat, her sharp cat-like eyes fixed on the two women before her. The eldest of the Cat's Eye sisters, Rui Kisugi, and the youngest of the Cat's Eye sisters, Ai Kaisa. The two stood as if facing a formidable enemy, each in a different position staring intently at Hitomi. "Get out of the way, meow." Lei Sheng Tong yawned and lazily said to Lei Sheng Rui and Lei Sheng Ai. Lai Sheng Lei remained unmoved, "Give Zio Tong back." Kiyosa Ai chimed in, "That's right, you ungrateful cat. Get out of my body right now." God above, she had never seen anything so unbelievable. It still seems unbelievable to this day, 2 days ago. When she came home from school, she heard from her second sister that she had been possessed by a demon cat. At the time, Ai thought her older sister was joking with her. What nonsense about cats being blocked. How could such an absurd thing happen in the world? My sister must be trying to scare me. However, that very night, something happened that shattered her worldview that day. Hitomi was worried about being possessed, so she insisted on tying herself up with a rope. The eldest sister couldn't persuade Sheng Tong otherwise, so she agreed to come for 370. I initially thought Hitomi Kisugi was just worrying unnecessarily, but I could imagine that once midnight passed, Hitomi Kisuga's eyes would change, turning from human eyes into cat eyes, even more incredibly. Hitomi Kisugi even grew a pair of cat ears on her head. Even his voice has changed. Let go of meow, you humans, let go of meow right now. Although each word is followed by meow, which sounds very cute, AI Kaisai doesn't find it cute at all. In fact, she finds it creepy. Her sister really did turn into a cat. No, that's not quite right, to be precise, he was possessed. Even its appearance has changed. Kiyoshi AI was stunned until Kiyoshi Rui slapped him on the back of the head. At which point she reacted and pounced on him to try and subdue the struggling Kiyoshi Hitomi. As soon as the two came into contact with Lai Shengtong, they felt all their strength being drained away by the other. If it weren't for the fact that the two of them exercised regularly and had plenty of energy, they would have almost died if they hadn't managed to push away the cat-possessed second sister at the last second. From that moment on, AI Lei Sheng never dared to touch her second sister again. Unfortunately, after the possessed second sister absorbed their power, she managed to cut the ropes binding her with her fingernails and escape. Then they ran away in a flash. This really worried Lai Sheng Lei and Lai Sheng AI. After Lai Sheng Lei and Lai Sheng AI regained some strength, they quickly caught up with them. But by this time, Hitomi Kisugi had already lost the race. The two searched all night but couldn't find Lai Shengtong. Fortunately, Hitomi returned on her own the next morning. Even more miraculously, Hitomi Kisugi completely forgot what happened last night, only knowing that when she woke up this morning, she was fast asleep on a park bench. This bizarre scene sent chills down the spines of the three women. At this moment, the three sisters finally believed what Luo Wei had said. The problem is Lo Yuho could have helped them. Has disappeared and they have no idea where to find him. Left with no other choice, the three women had to temporarily suspend their business. And the following night, they tied up Sheng Tong with a stronger rope to prevent her from running around and hurting others. After all, the cat with the barrier has the ability to absorb energy. If a human is touched by it, their physical strength and energy will be completely drained, which may even lead to deaths. Tears of the Next Life and Love of the Next Life suffered a great loss last night. If the two women hadn't exercised regularly, possessed extraordinary physical strength, and had quick reflexes, something bad would have happened last night. Having learned their lessons, the two women naturally gained a new perspective. The abilities of the disabled cat are too dangerous for ordinary people and must be curbed. They certainly don't want their next life to be burdened with the memory of a life lost, or the loss of several lives. Because they were well prepared in the second night, when the demon cat possessed her again and flicked her eyes, she was unable to break free of the ropes and was imprisoned for the entire night. However, when Hitomi regained consciousness the next morning, she found herself in excruciating pain all over her body. The reason is simple. After being possessed by the demon cat yesterday, Hitomi Kisugi was anything but calm, struggling all night long, but the more she struggled, the tighter the rope binding her became. This is a special binding method used to prevent the cat from escaping. However, this special binding method caused bruises to appear on Lai Shengtong's delicate skin, and she was in great pain all over her body. So on this day, Hitomi Lai Sheng stayed in bed all day. Tonight, Lai Sheng Lei and Lai Sheng AI hesitated and didn't dare to continue binding Lai Shengtong, because Lai Shengtong had struggled too fiercely last night, leaving them covered in injuries. What if I keep struggling today and end up crippled? In the end, they locked the doors and windows and decided to spend the night with Lai Shengtong. And so the very first scene unfolded. The three of them each occupied a position and began to confront each other. To deal with Hitomi Kisugi, who is possessed by a cat, AI and Rui Kisugi are armed with cat-specific weapons. A cat toy smeared with essential oils such as eucalyptus oil, tea tree oil and lavender oil. One is holding chili powder. As we all know, cats have a very sensitive sense of smell. Some scents are very attractive to cats, while others are very unpleasant to them. For example, essential oils such as eucalyptus oil, tea tree oil, and lavender oil are too strong and pungent for cats. If they are exposed to these oils for a long time, they may cause problems such as runny nose, difficulty breathing and coughing. Therefore, it is the best way to deal with cats. In addition, chili powder has a similar effect. It was precisely because they wielded these two weapons that Lai Shengrui and Lai Sheng AI were able to confront the possessed Lai Shengtong, who was afflicted by the demon cat, after all. The cat with the obstruction is just a low-level monster. Even though it has the ability to absorb energy, it's useless without touching the tears of the afterlife and the love of the afterlife. Furthermore, since Kisugi Rui and Kisugi AI had already suffered from this skill, they naturally wouldn't let Kisugi Hitomi touch them. In this way, the skill becomes even more impressive but useless. As a result, the two sides reached a point of near parity. Evenly matched, this made Hitomi Kisugi, who was possessed by the cat, even more dissatisfied. I'll say it again, meow, get out of my way, meow tilde. Hitomi's cat-like eyes were filled with intense hostility, as if to say, if you don't move aside, I'm going to get serious. Neither tears nor love in the next life have deterred them. This matter concerns their sisters, and they cannot possibly turn their backs on it no matter what. Since that's the case, then don't blame me for being impolite, meow. The next second, Hitomi Kisugi, possessed by the cat, was launched like a spring, her target being their eldest sister Rui Kisugi. Lai Shengrui subconsciously waved the cat toy in her hand, which was coated with essential oil, wanting to chase after Lai Shengtong. The reddish odor instantly rushed into Hitomi's nasal cavity. Hitomi Kisugi's tears were about to flow. There's no way around it. This smell is just too unfriendly to cats. But at this crucial moment, instead of retreating, Hitomi Kisugi pushed off the ground with her right foot and pounced on Rui Kisugi at an even faster speed. Lai Shenglei sensed something was wrong, but it was too late. Hitomi Kisugi tackled him to the ground, and her energy absorption skill instantly took on a powerful effect. Lai Shenglei suddenly felt her whole body go limp, as if a large amount of her strength and energy had been drained away. Stay away from Sister Lei. Seeing this, Kisugi AI grabbed a handful of chili powder and threw it at Kisugi Hitomi. Lai Shengtong sprang into the air, leaping back several meters and easily dodging the thrown chili powder. The chili powder was smeared all over Lai Shenglei's face and body. Lai Shenglei couldn't help but sneeze several times, and tears streamed down her face. There was no way around it. This chili powder was just too spicy. I'm sorry, Sister Lei. Seeing the disheveled state of Lai Shengrui, Dr. AI subconsciously apologized. It's all right. Lai Shenglei naturally wouldn't blame her younger sister. After all, she was only trying to save someone. Moreover, if AI had used that chili powder earlier, she would have been in danger. After Lai Shenglei shakily got up from the ground, she gripped the cat toy in her hand and stared intently at Lai Shengtong Qian Wango. Although the contact was brief, she did have a lot of her strength and energy drained by the possessing cat, and now she felt weak in the limbs. It is becoming increasingly difficult to stop Hitomi Kisugi, but even in the face of difficulties, she would not back down. After all, it concerned the lives of both she and her sister. "Huh, what are you doing raining like this?" Just then, an unexpected voice broke the stalemate and atmosphere. When Lai Shenglei heard this voice, she was both surprised and delighted. She turned her head and saw that there was a man in the closed coffee shop who had been the object of her thoughts and dreams. That person was none other than Luo Wei, who had vanished without a trace just a few days ago. "It's you, you're finally back, big sister." "Who is he?" After seeing Luo Wei, Lai Sheng AI was instantly radiant, full of energy and overjoyed. She couldn't help but ask curiously, especially for a man. "This is really rare. Could this man be the eldest sister's boyfriend?" Lai Shenglei said, "He is the man we mentioned to you before. The man who said your second sister was possessed by the demon cat." Kiyoshi AI immediately realized. "That man who claims to be a god. Why did you take so long to arrive?" Luo Wei rolled his eyes and said, "I am a god. What do you mean by claiming oneself, however?" considering that AI Kaisai was still a high school student. He didn't hold it against the kid. As for why we're only arriving now, could it be that Lo Wei was so overjoyed by devouring the gourmet realm that he forgot about it? Tonight while I was sleeping, I kept feeling like I'd forgotten something. After going through everything that happened these past few days, I finally remembered this. So he rushed over and just in time to see the three Cat's Eye sisters confronting each other. Love, shut up. Fearing that Lai Shengai's words would anger Luo Wei, Lai Shenglei quickly scolded his younger sister. Lai Sheng Ai realized she had said the wrong thing. Covered her mouth hand gave Luo Wei an apologetic look. 413 regardless of whether Luo Wei is a god or not. He is not someone she can afford to offend. AI is still young and doesn't understand. Please don't mind hair adults. After apologizing for her younger sister, Lai Shenglei quickly went to Luo Wei's side. Pointed at her second sister and said, Tong has been possessed, please sir help her. Luo Wei turned to look at Lai Shengtong, who meowed and looked at Luo Wei as if facing a formidable enemy. Her cat instincts told her that this man in front of her was not someone to mess with. Luo Wei had already promised to come to Shengtong and help her get rid of the cat with the obstacle. So he naturally wouldn't go back on his word. He said with a smile, little cat, are you leaving on your own or should I chase you away? Hitomi Kisugi said, don't mess with me, human cat. I'm not someone to be trifled with. Having finally found a target to possess, the cat won't leave easily. Seeing this, Luo Wei was too lazy to waste words with this ungrateful cat. He flicked out a beam of light and shot it toward Lai Shengtong. Upon seeing this, the possessed Kisaragi Hitomi instinctively jumped to the side, attempting to avoid Lovey's attack. But she hadn't anticipated that Lo Wei's attack would curve and track her, tracing an elegant arc in midair before striking Kisaki Hitomi's body precisely. Lai Shengtong let out a miserable scream and collapsed limply to the ground. Xiao Tong, elder sister. Lai Shenglei and Lai Sheng Ai exclaimed in surprise at the same time and rushed over. They wanted to completely submit to Lai Shengtong, but they were wary of the energy absorption skill and dared not make a move. With a worried expression, Lai Shenglei asked Luo Wei, sir, what happened to Xiao Tong? It's all right, you'll wake up soon. As soon as Luo Wei finished speaking, Lai Shengtong opened her eyes, and her cat-like eyes returned to normal human eyes. Sister Ai, what's wrong with me? She rubbed her head and slowly got up from the ground. Lai Shenglei immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Xiao Tongir, you all right? I'm fine. Hitomi Kisugi shook her head and asked, is it getting cold? No. Ai Kiyoshi shook her head and said, it's only midnight now. There are still several hours until dawn. Hitomi looked surprised, so that's how I woke up. For the past 2 days, she has been possessed by the cat spirit. She loses consciousness as soon as it gets dark and doesn't wake up until dawn. Why did this accident suddenly happen today? Lai Shenglei pointed at Luo Wei and said, it's the master. Following the direction that Lai Shengrui was pointing, Lai Shengtong finally saw Luo Wei standing in the coffee shop. She was both surprised and delighted. It's you. You've finally come, so you've driven the cat away. Only in this way can she regain herself. Luo Wei shook his head and said no. The Ikbi has already merged with you, and it's very troublesome to expel it. So I erased the Ikbi's intention. What does this mean? Hitomi Lai couldn't help but ask. 014703102 Feilu, 111,040,1141. It means that you are still you. But you have gained the abilities and power of the cat with the barrier. How about that? Isn't that a pleasant surprise? Isn't that unexpected, however? After hearing Luo Wei's words, Hitomi Kisugi couldn't help but ask. Should I feel surprised? Luo Wei said. Although the barrier cat is a low-level anomaly, it is still an anomaly after obtaining its power. You have transcended the realm of ordinary people and can do many things that ordinary people cannot. Shouldn't you be happy? Before Hitomi could say anything, AI cheered, that's great, sister. Then he hugged Hitomi Kisugi tightly, don't want. Lai Shengtong gasped in surprise, but it was too late. After Kiyoshi AI hugged Kiyoshi, Hitomi, body stiffened. She felt her strength and energy being drained by her sister, leaving her feeling weak and powerless. If Hitomi Kisugi hadn't pushed her sister away in time, AI Kisugi would probably have been drained dry. Seeing this, Lai Shenglei's pupils contracted sharply. She finally understood why Lai Shengtong was unhappy when she had clearly gotten a great deal. Because the disabled cat still has the ability to absorb energy. Moreover, this skill is not subject to the control of the rising eye. Anyone touched by Hitomi will have their physical strength and energy drained by her. This means that Hitomi in the next life cannot have contact with people, let alone kiss or hug them. Forget about getting married. Who would want a wife they can only look at but not touch? For ordinary people, this kind of blow is absolutely fatal. Enough to ruin a person's life, putting herself in her shoes. She wouldn't be unhappy if this happened to her. This is not the life she wanted. Lai Shenglei couldn't help but look at Luo Wei. My lord, please help Xiao Tong. Upon hearing this, Lai Shengtong looked at Luo Wei with intense anticipation. Her beautiful eyes were shrouded in a hazy mist, making one eager to see her. Luo Wei said yes. I can give you a portion of my power so that you can freely control this skill. But in exchange you must become my follower, not only you, but all three of you sisters must become my believers. At this moment, Rui Kisugi finally remembered the conversation that Lo Wei had with her before. That she wanted to collect things she liked. They even used figurines as an example. His method of collecting these followers was to make people his believers. Lai Shenglei didn't readily agree. Instead, she asked curiously, my lord, what should we do after becoming your followers? It depends on what you want to do, Lo Wei replied. I don't have very high requirements for my followers. I've only made you my followers to satisfy my collecting obsession. Incredulous AI asked, is that all? Luo Wei nodded. That's right, exactly. The famous Cat's Eye sisters are my followers. Isn't that something I should brag about? The three sisters were not too surprised when Luo Wei revealed their true identities in one breath. After all, Luo Wei is a god. Isn't it natural for a god to know their identities? Lai Shengrui said, if that's the case, we are willing to become your follower, Seer. Hitomi and AI nodded. They naturally wouldn't object to what their eldest sister had decided. Luo Wei said, then come over here one by one, starting with Lai Shengtong. Upon hearing this, Lai Shengtong walked up to Luo Wei. Luo Wei patted her shoulder and infused her with 10,0 points of light power. With this light power, Lai Shengtong could freely control the energy absorption skill. Later, Lai Shenglei and Lai Sheng AI also became followers of Luo Wei. Lo left a mark on each of the three sisters, allowing them to log in to the Believer platform. He then briefly explained the role of the Believer platform. The three women were taken aback. They hadn't expected that becoming a follower of Luo Wei would not only grant them great power, but also bring them so many benefits. This deity is incredibly generous. Kisugi AI couldn't help but complain, Lord Lovey. Are you sure this is okay? No problem. Lovey said, I don't collect just anyone. I only collect good-looking believers like you. Next life love this. For a moment, she didn't know how to complain. Time flies and several more days have passed. After the Cat's Eye Sisters incident was resolved, Lo returned to his street hustler persona. Every day I wander through the streets and alleys of Tokyo, looking for interesting things to do. Besides the Cat's Eye Cafe, Luo Wei actually found some interesting things to do. For example, he was wandering around Shibuya again. He came across a gang deal at the time. Luo Wei didn't pay any attention to it, since it had nothing to do with him, but at that moment, a man brazenly barged into the scene of the gang deal. Luo Wei could tell that the other party did not do it intentionally. They stumbled in unintentionally. Even so, the Yakuza did not let the man go instead. They relentlessly pursued and attacked him. This finally angered the man, and Wolf taught this group of lawless Yakuza a lesson. The Yakuza, having been taught a lesson, collapsed to the ground. But there's a saying, even if you lose the battle, you shouldn't lose the moral high ground. Although the Yakuza were beaten badly and left in a sorry state, they remained stubbornly defiant. Who exactly are you daring to mess with our East City gang? Dare to say your name, you be ****D. The East City Society will not let you get away with this. Upon hearing this, Luo Wei's eyes flickered. If he remembered correctly, the East City gang was a gang in the game Yakuza. And it was the largest gang in Japan, good heavens. This thing was actually incorporated as well. Faced with the Yakuza's threats, the man simply smiled and said, "I'm just an ordinary street cleaner." Upon hearing the words cleaner, many Yakuza members of the East City Society changed their expressions. One of them seemed to have a sudden realization and said loudly, "I remember now. The scavenger who likes to wear a blue suit jacket and black suit trousers, you are the city hunter." Goodness, another anime character, Yeu Liao. The male protagonist in the manga City Hunter and its derivative works. By the way, this manga is by the same author as Cat's Eye. Tsukasa Hojo. I just met the Cat's Eye sisters a few days ago. And I didn't expect to see Ryo Seba today. What a coincidence. When Yeu Liao heard his identity exposed so easily, he chuckled softly, turned and left, leaving behind a group of Yakuza who were trembling with fear. This was somewhat unexpected for Lo Wei. The East City gang is, after all, the largest gang in Japan during the Yakuza series. Even in this world, if you can't reach that level, you shouldn't be intimidated by Yeu Liao. Could it be that the Yeu Ryo in this world is stronger than the one in the original story? Or that Taoju is even more pathetic than the one in Dragon Ball? Thinking about it carefully, it doesn't seem like it's impossible. Forget it, what does this have to do with me anyway? Zero. Requesting flowers. Luo Wei smiled and quickly put this little incident behind him, because he had more important things to deal with. Not long ago, Ada Wang, the mole who had returned to the Umbrella Corporation, finally sent a message back to Ro. Wesker is secretly researching a very special biological virus. This virus can cause animals to mutate, becoming more ferocious, powerful, and aggressive, and is extremely hostile to humans. Animals infected with this virus seem to be hostile towards humans and want to attack them whenever they see them. This is entirely aimed at wiping out humanity. This made her somewhat believe what Luo Wei had said. If the Umbrella Corporation wasn't obsessed with eliminating humanity, why would it develop a virus specifically targeting humans? In addition to this message, Ada Wang also sent back several photos. After seeing these photos, Luo Wei felt that the mutated animals looked familiar. It felt like I'd seen it somewhere before. So Lo asked Ada Wang to send back more detailed information. Ada Wang lived up to expectations and sent back some detailed information a day later. In this information, she told Lo that this virus could rewrite the DNA of animals, making them stronger. Upon seeing this information, Luo Wei finally came to his senses. Could this be gastroenteritis? Gastria is a virus that originated in another anime series called Black Bullet. It seems to have been created by humans. This is a DNA virus that can transform ordinary organisms into gastrulators. It can transform the host into different forms of gastrulators by rewriting the arrangement of the host's DNA. In essence, it involves changing the species of organisms. Gastoviruses are highly adaptable. They can combine DNA factors from different species into one organism, giving the organism the morphology of two different organisms, which is known as composite factor gastrulators. In addition, viruses can choose the most suitable physical transformation form for the host based on the host's physical condition. So gastria usually have outstanding physical strength and mobility. In Black Bullet, humanity nearly suffered total annihilation due to a single virus. On the virus from the initial T virus, to the later Blacklight virus, then to the MK virus specifically targeting men, and now to the gastrulatory virus specifically targeting humans. The Umbrella Corporation, the protector of this world, is going to defy the heavens. Are they planning to research viruses from other worlds? They're afraid humans aren't dying fast enough, right? Oh no. I should say it's the devil behind the Umbrella Corporation, who's afraid that humanity isn't dying fast enough. This guy has already made his way to death. Luo Wei's eyes flashed, and his murderous intent toward the Umbrella Corporation rose to another level. Just as Lovey was about to contact Riaz again to inquire about her brother's progress, Riaz suddenly contacted Lovey on her own initiative. Moreover, personally traveled from Kyo Academy to Tokyo, where he blocked Lo Wei at the entrance of the Umbrella Corporation's Tokyo branch. My brother has gone missing. Ria's first words took Lovey by surprise. What's going on? Luo Wei was puzzled and quickly asked. Ria said anxiously, not long ago, my brother contacted me and said that he had found the trail of the devil behind the Umbrella Corporation. It won't be long before he can find their exact location. But just yesterday, Lady Seraph suddenly contacted me and said that I had gone missing. She's going to rescue my brother. If she can't contact me in 12 hours, she's telling me to come find you at this point. Riaz gave a wry smile and continued as of now. Lady Seraph hasn't contacted me for 11 hours. There is only 1 hour left until our agreed time. Lovey responded with an "oh," without questioning Riaz about why she hadn't contacted him sooner. Instead, I asked, where did your brother and Seraphim disappear to? Riaz said it's Silent Hill. Upon hearing the name, Luo Wei's eyes flickered. He was very familiar with that name. Although Ro had never played the Silent Hill game, he had looked up the general plot of the story online because the game was so famous. Lo remembered a church in Silent Hill, with a high priest who was extremely obsessed with the god the church worshipped. Dahlia gave birth to a daughter when she was 32. Luo Wei couldn't remember his daughter's name. It seems to be either Alessa or Alaya in short. This daughter was born with extraordinary powers, including the ability to retrieve objects from a distance, precognitive abilitas and astral projection. This allows her to see through other people's thoughts and even kill them out of thin air with her mind. However, in America, people with this kind of talent are often considered freaks and bullied. So this little girl was ostracized by her peers when she was young. Besides, her mother, the high priest of the church, was no better. He is a fanatic occultist. The high priest firmly believed that it was possible to summon the gods worshipped by the cult, and that through some method of procreation, the gods could be born into the world and turn it into a paradise without pain. So she began to try to use the girl's body as a mother to conceive the god. However, after trying to kidnap some ordinary girls, she failed. Therefore, she believed that her daughter, who was born with powerful magic, was the ideal mother to conceive a god. They're living, breathing beasts. Oh no, I misspoke. There's a saying, even a tiger won't eat its cubs. Even tigers don't want to eat their own cubs. But this high priest, who has gone mad with desire, wants to offer his own daughter as a sacrifice. What's even more outrageous is that her daughter was only 7 years old when she used her as a sacrifice. This action made Luo Wei's blood pressure skyrocket. This is worse than an animal. After the plan began, this guy first used a weapon to seal his daughter's power, then imprisoned her in his home, set fire to the second floor of their house, and sacrificed his daughter's body to the god in the flames so that the god could take shape in his daughter's womb. But the plan failed due to the daughter's fierce resistance. The little girl split her soul in two, one of which was sent to the highway outside Silent Hill and taken away by a passing couple. The girl herself fell into a coma. Although the ritual was unsuccessful, the embryo of God took shape inside the little girl's body. 014703102 Chinese letter 111,051,081. Unfortunately, because the little girl's soul was split in two, the divine embryo could not descend and could only remain dormant within the little girl's body. Afterwards, the little girl's mother, who was also the high priest who had gone mad, announced to the public that her daughter was dead. But in reality, he imprisoned his daughter in a hospital. Because the embryo of God was inside the little girl's body, she could not debut, her wounds could not heal. and she continued to have a high fever. God's conception caused the little girl, who was already in great pain, to suffer even more. To make matters worse, her mother cast a spell on her in an attempt to force the girl's other half of her soul back to Silent Hill, causing her even more suffering. The little girl's soul was trapped in an endless nightmare and never woke up until she was 14 years old. 7 years later, when her other half of her soul returned to Silent Hill. The story of Silent Hill begins here. Lo Wei remembers that the game has several endings. One of the best solutions was that the little girl's soul was eventually led by a so-called god. It is a monster with a goat's head, a human bodino abdomen, and bat wings, and is known as Nightmare. The nightmare emerged from the little girl's back and flew into the air, then killed the little girl's mother with lightning. That is the vicious high priest. Finally, the nightmare and the game's male protagonist engage in a final battle. She was killed by the male protagonist with a shotgun. This is hilarious. 0.8 demons were killed by a shotgun. It seems unbelievable no matter how you look at it. But it's a game, so I can understand. Once the health bar is revealed, even gods can be killed by players, let alone a mere nightmares. But the problem is this world isn't a game. Whether the protagonist can kill a nightmare with a gun remains to be seen. Unless the shotgun is imbued with holy magic, in which case it can harm the demon, of course. What Ro was most concerned about was not whether the shotgun could kill Nightmare. It's somewhat unbelievable that Sazex and Seraph were trapped in Silent Hill. That place could actually trap two powerful demons. Unbelievable, inconceivable no matter how you look at it. Silent Hill doesn't seem like a place that could trap them. O strongly suspected that some unknown change had occurred in Silent Hill. It might be a trap set by the enemy for Sazex and Seraph. Otherwise, how could Silent Hill possibly trap two high-level demons? Sazex and Seraph. Luo Wei immediately became interested. Regardless, Silent Hill is a must-see. Wait here for me, I'll be right back. After saying this to Riaz, Lovey was about to leave when Riaz grabbed the hem of his clothes. No, I want to go too. Are you sure that even your brother is trapped if you go in? You might not be able to help much and might only be a hindrance. You 44. Why does this guy always like to speak such blunt truths? This is incredibly disrespectful to humans. No. It's disrespectful to demons, however. After carefully considering her older brother's strength, Riaz had to admit that what the other party said was right. If I go in with my current abilities, I might actually become the one who drags the team down. But since her brother has been missing for so long, she is worried about him for a moment. Riaz stood there stunned at a loss for what to do, seeing this. Luo Wei sighed and said, fine, I'll take you one floor. Anyway, with me here, there won't be any problems. Before Riaz could react, Lovey grabbed her and used teleportation magic. In a flash, I arrived in America from neon lights. The entire process takes less than a second. Teleportation magic is so convenient. Upon arriving in America, Lo took out his phones, turned on the GPS to determine his current location, and then located Silent Hill not long after. He led Riaz to the highway outside Silent Hill. Relying on his superior skills and daring, Lovey entered Silent Hill with Riaz without much consideration. Upon entering Silent Hill, Lo discovered that the place was truly desolate. There wasn't a single person on the street. Even the houses and supermarkets along the roadside felt deserted. In fact, there was not only no one there, but there wasn't even the aura of a monster. The entire Silent Hill is like a secluded island, and a deserted one at that. Ro raised his hand and cast a detection spell. Red light emanated from his palm and swept across the streets and alleys of Silent Hill. Centered on him, seeing this, Riaz couldn't help but want to retort. Aren't you afraid of alerting the enemy by doing this? However, considering Luo Wei's strength, she kept her mouth shut. That's interesting. As the detection magic swept across Silent Hill, Ro couldn't help but mutter a sentence. Riaz asked, what did you find? We found nothing, Ro shook his head. How is this possible? Riaz exclaimed in astonishment. She believed that Lady Seraphim would never lie to her. My brother and Lady Seraphim must be trapped in this place. But why haven't they found anyone, Rose said. That's normal. Because we haven't entered the real Silent Hill yet. Riaz was taken aback, confused, Lo explained. Someone built an inner world in Silent Hill. The place we are in now is the outer world of Silent Hill, which is empty. Only by entering the inner world can we see the real Silent Hill. Riaz looked around. She was no stranger to the magic of creating space. The problem is she didn't notice anything at all. This means that the people who built this other world are stronger than me. Which is why I didn't sense anything. Can you come in? Riaz asked. Luo Wei burst into laughter. Who do you think I am? He slowly extended both hands, inserting them into the void and then pulled hard. A hissing sound came from the void as Luo Wei forcefully pulled open a crack as tall as a person. Then Luo Wei swaggered in. Riaz stared in disbelief at the scene. It was the first time she had ever seen someone actually use their bare hands to create a spatial barrier, breaking the barrier that prevented outsiders from entering the inner world. This is unbelievable, aren't you coming in just then? Luo Wei's voice came from inside the spatial rift. Riaz then realized what was happening and quickly went inside. Upon entering the Silent Hill's inner world, Riaz was surprised to find that the Silent Hill in the inner world seemed to be no different from the Silent Hill in the outer world. The same emptiness. The same complete absence of a single person. The only difference is that it seems a fierce battle took place here. More than half of Silent Hill was destroyed, with ruins everywhere, many buildings reduced to rubble, and the ground riddled with potholes. She released her senses, trying to find the magical fluctuations of her brother Sazek's. This way, however, Lo Wei was one step ahead of her and made a discovery. Seeing that Lovey quickened his pace, Riaz hurried to catch up. The two soon found themselves inside a church within Silent Hill. The church remained intact, unaffected by the previous fierce battle, and still stands. It stood out starkly from the surrounding ruins. Lo Wei stepped forward and pushed open the church door. There were several people inside the church. Two of them were Sazek and Seraph. However, the two demons were in a worse situation. Sazek and Seraph were captured and nailed to a cross, like the crucified Jesus. The enemy did this not only to torture them. Luo Wei could see that the power of the two people was sealed on the cross. Clearly, this was a special sealing ritual. Besides Sazek and Seraph, there were three other people in the church. One of them is the enemy that Sazek and Seraph have been pursuing, the son of Lucifer, the demon king of the demon realm, Leswim Livian Lucifer. There were two other people behind Lesum. One of them was a handsome man with gray hair, and Rope recognized his true identity at a glance. Wali Lucifer, Lesevim's grandson, the host of the White Dragon, Emperor's wings of the god-slaying armor, a hybrid of human and demons, and also the strongest White Dragon Emperor in history. Lo remembered that in the original storyline, Leswium, for fun, instigated his son to persecute Vali Lucifer with him. Vali's father was also afraid because his son's talent surpassed his own, and often abused him. Vali, Lucifer's mother, who wanted to protect him, was brutally beaten and could only comfort her son by secretly cooking him pasta. Unable to endure the suffering any longer, Vali was rescued by his servant and taken in by the fallen angel governor Azazel. Under Azazel's guidance, he learned to communicate with Albions, one of the two celestial dragons residing within him, and to wield the power of the divine artifact. Shows just how monstrous Lesum really is, unexpectedly. In this world, Vali is still living with his grandfather. Lesum, doesn't this mean the plot has changed again? It's likely that after Lesevim was defeated by his own Lucifer, he realized his lack of strength and therefore did not persecute Vali. Instead, united with Wali, hoping that Wali could lend him a hand, of course. This is only Luo Wei's conjecture. Only his family knows the specifics. Besides Vali, there was another person with Leswim. She was a beautiful girl in black, dressed in Gothic attire, with an expressionless face. No, you can't call her a beautiful girl. She can only be described as Gothic Lolita. Luo Wei looked so familiar with that face. Wasn't he one of the two dragon gods from High School DxD? Orpheus, the infinite dragon god. Speaking of Orpheus, he was quite an unlucky fellow. In High School DxD, she is the Ouroboros, a symbol of infinite reincarnation, possessing infinite power, and born from the dimensional rift. It is an infinite dragon god that transcends gods and demons. As a result, his homeland was seized by another dragon god, the great crimson dragon god emperor. And he was driven out of his homeland. How should I put it? This true crimson dragon god emperor truly lacks martial ethics. But Love remembered that in a later chapter, this great red was defeated in a battle against the Xe world demon Regaltseva, who invaded Earth in a dimensional rift. And his head was taken off, leaving him decapitated. It can be considered that he shielded the infinite dragon god Orpheus from disaster. Seeing this combination, Ro probably understood why Sazex and Seraph lost. The son of a demon king, the strongest white dragon emperor in history, an infinite dragon god Orpheus, good heavens. This combination could easily defeat Lucifer, the demon king. It would be a miracle if Sazex and Seraph could win. We simply can't win at the same time. Luo Wei's arrival attracted the attention of everyone present. Leswim and Vali Lucifer both turned their heads at the same time to look at Lovey as he entered the church. Even the infinite dragon god glanced at Luo Wei. They seemed surprised by Lo's power. In her perception, Luo Wei was extremely powerful. Wow, Silent Hill is really lively today. Seeing the uninvited Luo Wei, Leswim stroked his chin and said with a smile. He looked at Luo Wei and asked, "How should this guest be addressed, love? I've never heard of that name before." Lesivim was, after all, a demon among demons, possessing terrifying strength and renowned throughout the three realms. He knew exactly how many masters there were in the world. But how should I put it? He had never heard of the name Luo Wei before. This made him very curious. How did this guy dare to walk up to him? As for Riaz, she was completely ignored by Lesivim. She's just a little girl, compared to me she's nothing. Hey, young man named Luo Wei, what brings you here? As you can see, we have some things to attend to. If you're not busy, could you please leave now? Now it was Luo Wei's turn to be surprised. Huh, you're actually willing to let me go? Leswim chuckled. What are you saying, young man? We have no grudge against each other. Why would I make things difficult for you? So you're not a weirdo after all, Rose sighed and said. I'm glad you're willing to let me go this time. But I really don't like what you did, Leswium. What's the meaning? The devil behind the protective umbrella, isn't that you? Luo Wei's expression turned serious. Leswim was taken aback. Lovey said, "Can you tell me what you mean by having Umbrella develop so many viruses targeting humans?" Lesivim suddenly burst into laughter. So that's how it is. So you were sent by Alea, buddy, so you're a heroic spirit. But your name is not among the heroic spirits who made great achievements in the past. Could it be that you are a heroic spirit born in the future? No wonder I have never heard of your names. But you don't seem to have the aura of a heroic spirit on you. Young man, can you tell me why? Luo Wei said, it's a very simple thing. I don't have the aura of a heroic spirit. Naturally, because I am not a heroic spirit. So I guessed wrong. Lesyum was somewhat surprised. Luo Wei said, it's not entirely wrong. I am indeed one of Alea's people, but I wasn't sent by them. I was invited by them. Lesyum suddenly realized, I see, that seems to be the case. He looked at Luo Wei with interest. To be invited here by Alea, you must be very capable, Vali. Vala, standing behind him, nodded. And suddenly a pair of wings of light unfurled from his back, instantly leaping over Lesivim and charging toward Ro. At the same time, a voice came from the void, divide. This is the power of the White Dragon Emperor's wings of light, which halves the opponent's power every 10 seconds. In addition to this, the White Dragon Emperor's wings of light have a second ability. Absorption. It adds the opponent's power to oneself. But it does not restore stamina, it only increases strength. The two abilities combined have the opponent's strength every 10 seconds, and add the halved strength back to oneself. However, it does not restore stamina. It only increases strength, however, due to the limitations of the owner's physical body. It cannot absorb power indefinitely. Otherwise, the body would not be able to withstand it. Therefore, excess power will be repelled by the light wings. If Volley could truly absorb the opponent's power indefinitely, he would have been invincible long ago. Faced with Volley's attack, Ro made no attempt to dodge, allowing Volley to absorb half of his power, but the problem is, only he himself knows just how terrifying half of his power truly is. Just as Volley received this power, he suddenly screamed in agony as gashes burst open all over his body. He collapsed to the ground with a thud and fell into a coma. The reason is simple: his body simply cannot withstand half of Ro's strength. It couldn't withstand even half the power, let alone 1/10 or even 1/100th, therefore. After rashly absorbing this power, Volley's body collapsed instantly, if Albion, the celestial dragon within the White Dragon Emperor's wings, hadn't sensed the danger and decisively abandoned absorbing this power. Volley wouldn't be just unconscious now. Instead, it exploded, the kind where no remains were found. Even the White Dragon Emperor's wings of light, a divine weapon of destruction, will crumble and become worthless. This really surprised me. When Leswim saw Volley lying on the ground, his eyes flickered with an indescribable surprise. Volley was raised and trained by him from a young age, and because of his extremely high talent, his strength increased rapidly. With the addition of the White Dragon Emperor's wings, a divine weapons, Volley can definitely be considered the strongest White Dragon Emperor of all time. Perhaps Volley isn't the strongest in the world right now, but he's definitely a renowned powerhouse. You can fight any deity you encounter. Even if you can't win, you can still escape unscathed. Even if he himself were to take action, it would take considerable effort to defeat Volley. Therefore, Leswim never imagined that Volley would one day be instantly killed. Although he wasn't quite sure how Ro had managed to do it, it had indeed happened right under his nose. That's incredible, but Leswim was not alarmed, because besides Valia had an even stronger teammate. I admit I underestimated you before. Alea asked you to help, and there is indeed a reason for it. Hey buddy, can't we just get along peacefully? Luo Wei shook his head. Ever since we learned about what the Umbrella Corporation has done, there has been no room for us to coexist peacefully. Leswim sighed and said, that's such a shame. No sooner had he finished speaking than Leswim made his move. This guy has no sportsmanship. He attacked Luo Wei without warning. He left behind a phantom to restrain Luo Wei, then appeared out of thin air behind Luo Wei and delivered a fatal blow to his heart. This move would be enough to rip out Luo Wei's heart, however. Just as his right hand was about to touch Luo Wei suddenly disappeared from the spot. Along with him, Ria's that little devil also disappeared. The next second, Ro appeared in front of Leswium's phantom and easily defeated it. The whole process happened in the blink of an eye. It looked as if the two people had switched places. Luo Wei looked at Leswim with a smile and beckoned to him with his finger. Come on, I'll play with you. Leswim's gaze turned serious. Although their exchange was brief, he already knew that this guy was not easy to deal with and was indeed a serious opponent. So when Leswim assumed a fighting stance, he shifted his foot slightly, but at that very moment, Ro moved closer and stood right in front of Leswim. Leswim looked completely bewildered. Luo Wei's actions just now were completely beyond what Leswei's mother could understand. Immediately afterwards, Luo Wei raised his right hand and threw a straight punch. Danger, 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 danger. A strong sense of crisis erupted in Leswim's mind like a flash flood. Leswim reacted in an instant, preparing to catch Ro's straight punch with his left hand. He spread the Lucifer wings on his back, increasing his power after catching Ro's punch. Leswim discovered that his strength was no match for the power of his opponent's fist. The two sides seemed to be on completely different levels. Ro channeled all his strength into his fist and slammed it hard into Leswim's face. Bump! Leswim smashed through the church doors like a cannonball and flew out of the hospital. He ended up falling to the ground in a sorry state. But the next second, Leswim got up from the ground and touched his cheek where he had been punched. That punch seemed to have worked quite well. Leswim even broke his nose and vomited a lot of blood. But this injury is nothing to a demon king's son. Leswim forced his nose back in. Placer raised his eyebrows and looked incredulous. He never imagined that he would lose to a human. Are you even human, to be precise? You should call me the Dimensional Demon God. Dimensional Demon God, what kind of deity is that? Leswim tilted his head, having never heard of such a deity before. But this did not stop Leswim from getting furious. After all, he had never been beaten like this before, except by his own father. This severely damaged his self-esteem. So he gathered glowing magic in his hands and spread all of Lucifer's wings on his back. Seeing this, Luo Wei also flew over. Leswim was the first powerful enemy that Ro encountered. So Ro decided to play with him. The two sides clashed in midair, engaging in a magical artillery battle. They frequently closed the distance, turning to close quarters hand-to-hand combat. Ro's fists and Leswim's kicks struck each other in various places. The aftershocks and impacts of the attack alone caused the surrounding buildings to collapse. This made Lo Wei laugh excitedly. The battle was exhilarating. Leswim's wings seemed to possess their own consciousness, twisting and turning before attacking Ro. The sharp tips of the wings attacked, but Lo dodged them at high speed, and the wings continued to extend, destroying the buildings and roads below. Then Leswim fired several enormous magic projectiles. All the magic bullets were exceptionally dense and aggressive, with terrifyingly powerful destructive force. However, when faced with the massive, high-density magic projectiles that attacked, Luo Wei simply used his fists and kicks to deflect them all. The deflected magic bullets flew towards the streets, buildings and even the distance of silent, crashing into the scenery. The impact caused massive explosions in various locations. The explosive blast swept outwards. The closest impact destroyed several buildings, creating a massive crater. This is also why the ground in Silent Hill is full of potholes. To be honest, the reason why the Silent Hill's inner world hasn't shattered yet is entirely because Ro and Leswim have concentrated most of their power on their opponent. What was licked was only a tiny, insignificant amount of power otherwise. The entire Silent Hill would disappear completely. Upon noticing Lo's difficult childbirth, Leswim shook his wings even more violently, radiating a powerful aura from his entire body. Then, that guy flew directly to a height higher than Luo Wei and looked down at Luo Wei from above. Hey, since that's the case, I'll reward you with a super powerful attack. Your companions are down there too, right? If you dodge, your companions are doomed. He seems to regard Riaz as Lovey's companion. But saying that doesn't seem wrong either. Since Riaz was brought by Loey, she can indeed be considered Loey's companion. Leswim amplified his aura to an unprecedented, overwhelming intensity, concentrating it in his hands. In an instant, his hands generated an incredible amount of magical power. This is the power that the son of the Demon King should possess.